He's the. And,
We're live now.
Okay, then we should not to talk about that anymore.
Yeah. But I did delete it.
Okay, good. Yeah. That might not be the best thing.
Idea.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see how many people remember we're on tonight.
Yeah, we usually have at least like in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be okay.
Yeah. Whew.
I'll do a lot of Zoom shout-out reminders.
Yeah.
Nope, went out of order. It doesn't matter. There is no order. Only the order I say.
You mean on the videos when you start? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It was Alyssa's birthday the other day.
Oh, I haven't been on YouTube, Facebook enough to see that, so I missed that. Sorry, I have to.
Here comes Alyssa.
Oh, awesome! Perfect. Hello. Perfect timing.
I feel like I'm behind.
No, you came perfect. I've been here for like 3-4 minutes, so I think you were absolutely perfect timing.
Cool.
I just went out of order. I hit the, a minor hitting a wrong button when I just went out of the normal order I do for mapping show football ads.
Jay, I believe that you had a conversation with Bill Meinhardt.
Yes, Bill's playing in the game. That game.
Nice.
CarryCon, yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't realize that was the house you went to for.
Oh yeah.
It's a rival table and setup and stuff. I hear. He's really got a.
You've got a good table and setup, but he's a man of your own heart. Shall we?
Yeah. It's awesome. What's good is he's going to bring a bunch of stuff for me since he's an hour away, particularly at Dwarven Forge, so I don't have to ship it to Josh and then so he'll bring it.
Nice.
To GaryCon,
Perfect.
yeah. Hey Dale.
Perfect.
Yeah. So absolutely.
He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man and a great shepherd of the industry.
That's just awesome. And he played in the same game with me, with you, Game Mastering,
yes.
And I don't remember him. We don't remember each other.
Well, one of the things is he tends to flit in games. He's in and out, because he gets dragged into a lot of.
Oh, that was him and that younger
activities.
kid, right? There was a younger kid too that was going in and out too, if you remember.
Yeah, but he wasn't anything to do with him. But
it didn't. Okay.
But Bill gets dragged into like conversations with convention people, like especially around auction time and stuff, because he's almost the one that prices things and like determines the experts on the roadshow, the antique roadshow. He is one of those, but for our industry.
Yeah, that's
awesome. How I met him. Like I was watching him in the Game Hall Con auction. I was like, who is this guy? Because he will sit there and like they'll say, and this is B1 from 1983 in the original string, first print, and then Bill is sitting there like with the auctioneers, and he'll go, well, actually, it's the second edition, and you can tell because the pricing label on the back is actually in green, and the ISBN is 09 at the end, that means that it was actually printed by such and such. And he pours out this incredible knowledge. He's a wonderful man to be around. He knows so much about our printed history. He's a great guy.
We had a long talk. I mean, we were on the phone for like 50 minutes. So, kind of hit it off, and he's excited. He's playing a fighter mage thief, triple class character in the game, and that's perfect because Tony's not coming, and she had a fighter mage. So, and then Eric Boyd can't come, so Andrew Valaskaskis is going to play another priest. So we got and it's 1-for-1 almost replacements, so for the group. That'll be awesome. And I kind of alluded to this, but Bill says that someone secretly is coming to his house to interview him for a documentary. Yes, and so that person may be watching our game Anna that day too.
Ah.
He was in a movie, Magic Mike 2.
Awesome.
Yes. Maybe I gave too much away. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you may want to hold a lot of that under wraps. Bill tries to be modest with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't mean it's going to happen either, but...
Right. Anything could happen.
Well, those documentaries have a tendency of not happening.
I think this one's going to happen.
That's good. Yep.
So,
mishaps. Yeah.
But it's going to be a fun time. Plus, we have a. What do you call the event we're having, Anna, with Troll Lord? Is it like a meet and greet?
Oh, either a launch party, meet and greet.
Launch party. That's
get together. Yeah. Marketing event.
Hey, BB. Now, yes. Not only is Chuck not giving me the codes from Sunday night, I'm still stuck with this ad.
It's Christmas all year round. Yep.
Yes. The holiday season year round.
That's a Troll Lord thing now. Yep.
So.
Actually, when we get into showing the cosmology map a little bit later on, Jay, if we do,
we will.
I added Troll Lord last night, and I made sure that their planet is a kumquat.
Oh,
yes, the kumquat planet.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's
I didn't
awesome.
realize he had a kumquat thing going on, so
of course.
Yeah.
Gotta
Did you
do
hear
it
the
now.
bad
Every map I
news?
do for him.
Yeah. Did you hear the bad news?
Well, they're going to try to survive, trying to.
They're trying to. Okay, they
save it.
Druidic powers. Yeah.
Stephen killed the kumquat tree.
Yeah, he kind of did survive his care. So yeah, he needs a druid intervention here. So yeah.
Sounds like he's got a green thumb like me. I kill everything green. And I love greenery around me, but I kill it all. I managed to kill a cactus. Can you believe that?
Wow, that's hard to do.
I don't even try, so I stay away from it. Yeah.
It feels like months since we've hung out.
Yeah, I mean,
it's 1 month roughly. Yeah.
Yeah,
but it feels
one
like
was the holiday cheer episode.
Yeah, but it feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? Then we'll have one more before the GaryCon episode, and that should be on your schedule, Willis. And I got to push back that 1 hour. Okay, good.
Yeah, Dave confirmed with me, I think a day or two ago, that it was in my schedule.
Good. Cool. Very good.
I can't believe that it's GaryCon again. Like,
I know.
It literally feels like just a few months ago that we were there.
Yeah, and it's only 2 months, so yeah.
But we have
I'm so not prepared.
Well,
the same here. Yeah.
I have so much I'm doing there. I mean, I'm every day, but I have something more important I got to get done first, right? And that's the fundraiser. I got to get that all that's that 17th, 18th, 19th of February. That's a whole, and then I have a whole month to worry about GaryCon set up and prep. Hey, Bill.
I've got to finish the GaryCon map. I want to finish the cosmology map because I would love to have a version of that at the auction. So I need to be able to finish it early enough to print it. And I'm meant to be starting a campaign, a Cthulhu campaign there. And every GaryCon, I'm going to run the next part for the same group of people.
Awesome.
And I haven't read anything yet. So I'm sitting there panicking at this point because I'm so not ready.
Well, I know the feeling. It's just like this week it's been brutal. I know Bill's gonna go whack in chat or something, but because from here after we're done here, I gotta get out my ads for. I'm doing a battle tech for beginners tomorrow morning. Listen for.
Oh, nice! That was so heavily requested. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm doing that for some players. Yeah, wow.
Is that like their usual early start?
9 o'clock in the morning Eastern. Yeah.
I'll get the replay. I'll watch that.
Yes, you don't need to get up for that. Thanks, Epic. All right. We have a dual title tonight, but I'm only putting the good one up.
Oh yeah, exactly. Put the good one. The other one was kind of it's a sign of the times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Projects 2023 deep dive, or if Adam says WTF.
Yeah.
I like the second one.
Yeah, I thought you would. It's kind of it's the times we're in right now. So yeah.
We can see if I can splash. Splash it! There we go. What the fuck? Splash that all over the screen.
Yeah, what a nice start to the year. Huh?
Yeah. Gotta wake up cool here right away. Yeah. And we're only halfway through yet, so we haven't met the boss master yet. So yeah. We want the first encounter. Now comes the second one and the third one. And yeah, we'll see how many.
It's still alive. It's still out there.
Yep.
25s. What's going on, Dale? Thanks for coming on Wednesday night. That was a great show.
Yeah, definitely. They set that high bar for future shows. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, happy belated birthday.
Yes, Alyssa. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I haven't been on Facebook enough, so I missed that. Yeah.
Well, the way bloody Facebook works, you could be on Facebook all of the time. You probably still would miss it because it only
That's
gives
true.
you a small fraction of your friends.
That's
doesn't
true.
it?
Yeah, and then it says like 3 birthdays, and sometimes I look at it, sometimes I don't. So yeah.
I miss so many birthdays. I missed them all.
Yeah. And then when
That's
it's my
okay.
birthday, my whole Facebook is kind of screwed up for a day or two before it gets over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good evening, everyone. Stream 3 of 5 in the week here. So cranking right along. JK Lord Gazumba. Thank God it's Friday. That's all I gotta say. And with me is Alyssa Faden and Adam Meyer already. We got another fancy mapping show coming up tonight.
Hello.
Dual titled. The second title will be we'll scroll right after the first one. The Project 2023 Deep Dive / WTF. So yes. Yeah, Bill. So Asher was on Wednesday night, and Bill brought something up during the game last night, which was wonderful. That they had a character, Phil McCracken, and Alan has Angus, Phil's cousin, Angus McCracken, which was a joke on the Phil McCracken thing. So it's just all of us are childish. It goes all the us adolescent men back in the day when we were 15 years old making up silly names. So, but other than that, we got a great
the funny thing is, in my Masks of Nyarlathotep campaign, there was an NPC called Squeegee McCracken.
You see, if we stay gamers, we never grow up, really. We kind of just stay like this forever. Yeah.
Exactly.
It reminds me of one of the early games I played, and we had like a new person in the group. He'd never played with us before, didn't quite know how Dungeons and Dragons worked. And his character was called Shandy Ironballs. And like the GM had him meet the party by literally bumping into us, which was actually a mistake, I think, because he just rounded the corner as we're rounding the corner. And the GM is like, so what do you do? And he's like, I shout, Shandy Iron Balls. So we killed him.
Nice. Oh, poor.
We thought he was a bad guy.
Poor Shandy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, we all, yes, we have them all. We have all those names. Fun ones and ones that we've had to change. We've actually had to change some that were not, that would get me permanently banned.
They're not ready for streaming.
Oh,
Yep.
no. So, but we did all that. So, so tonight, we'll talk about some projects for 2023, and we will probably get into what the hell all this OGL stuff means.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Producers, not publishers, but those that put stuff in publications.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Like because you both provide maps to people who publish and have to worry about it. You don't, but what does that mean?
And we also publish directly to fans and in the fan community and stuff, both of us. So we are kind of doubly affected differently depending on where we distribute our maps, so to speak.
Here comes Mike Disney.
Hey, hello, Mike. Welcome, everyone.
Great to see you, Mike. I got my shout-outs working again. I figured that all out. Oh, my God. Good to see you, Goblin. Good to see you. So I will say this tonight. For the Frog Guide Games giveaways, any of those that are still waiting for the Troller one, I have the codes for the two $25 Frog Guide ones tonight. So you will get them tonight. Don't worry. Don't sweat. And they've got
a sale going on right now, don't they? Because of this whole OGL mess.
Absolutely.
So you'll get even more for your money.
Absolutely. Same thing with Troller, too.
Yeah.
They're getting rid of all their 5e stuff. So, Yep. And, it's a great time. It's just you live in interesting times, right? A Chinese proverb. So Mike, it's great to see you tonight, and we're going to talk some projects here. Real quick, I'm going to go to this screen real fast and just note I want to share with everyone the goodness that is. I finalized all our sponsors for the fundraiser. Look at that. There are 10.
Awesome.
Okay,
Yep. Gex works and Elmore as well. Yep.
Yes. Larry Elmore's provided 6 signed prints, big ones too, just like he did last year, including 3 Great Dragonlance one, the Avelina, the Healer one, a Drizzt one. So we got Cave Geek Art again, Gamescape, Caxworks, Infinite Dimensions, Troll Lord, Larry Elmore, Reaper, Stratagem / Wiz Dice, right? It's the same company. Praetors and Rifts, and William Henry Dvorak's even participating because he's giving me a whole bunch of his Ravensrook hard copies for that. So we got a ton of sponsors for the fundraiser.
Wow.
Yeah, the most we've ever had. We got to surpass $20,540. We'll do it if Alyssa's not visiting her dad and can play too at some point that weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But that's and look, I just put that up as the backdrop for tonight because I like it so much. So all right. So what do you want to talk about first here? What we got for 2023? And if you have
Alyssa,
questions,
you go
please.
First.
Yeah. Yeah, so
well, okay, so 2023 for me, well, actually, I should say the beginning of any year for me is actually a little bit different than normal because I spend December, January, and February, and part of March always preparing for GaryCon. So, and that's become a little bit of a pattern and a routine for me. So I'm actually drawing the GaryCon map for their convention this year, and it's always got a theme to it, and the theme for this year is Diesel Punk. That came from Luke himself. So I went to Google to try and find out what the hell Diesel Punk is.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing that I'm doing this year. I'm working on the Cosmology of Role-Playing 2023 version, which we're all going to take a look at a little bit later on. And that's taken a lot of time as well. It's beginning to look really good. But those are my 2 main projects. And then, of course, I'm going to be starting my 3rd Greyhawk City here shortly. So everyone's going to get to see Krakenheim fully colored on the show later on. It came out beautifully. And then I'm going to start breaking ground on the next one. probably here in the next week and
Wow,
starting
that's
to get that
fantastic.
rolling. And it's good. Now, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this, okay? So you're going to have to forgive me.
No one
But
else knows what it's
No
called.
Vrod Nevnend? No Vrod Nevnend? No? I can't even pronounce that one.
Zacpatolpo?
Oh, that's south. That's in
Zacapatolo?
the Medio, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole sort of Mayan Aztec sort of
Oh.
feel, and like the Yuan-Ti, I think, occupy the city right now.
Yuan-Ti,
Yep.
yeah. Cool.
So I am doing that. That's the next one, just to make
Nice.
it nice and different and everything else. Can you
Awesome.
imagine the architecture? It's gonna kick
Oh,
ass.
That's going to
yeah.
be awesome. Fantastic. Very, very cool. So a synopsis there, quick from Anna, from you.
Well, yeah,
for
for me, this year starts a bit different than all the other years so far, because first I got a new machinery, so I all of a sudden I have a new workflow that is very different from before, because now I can do enormous chunks, and that's something we're going to look into. So that have changed how I do things. And then secondly, I have both Gary Con to have stuff to get ready for, and also have the Altamira box sets to stuff. So there's like two big projects, and I'm actually running them in parallel and doing the same thing. So it's a little bit like industrial production here, a little bit, because I will do the same on both, so to speak. So we will look at this. So therefore I can take the same. So it will be a heck of a lot of Photoshop. Before my pipeline or I would say the throttle was, or the difficult bit to get over, the bottleneck. That was the word. The bottleneck used to be on the 3D side. Now it will be on the Photoshop side, because there will be way more pixels to edit, and I'm only one person, and that's the time you sit and doodle with the Wacom. So that, since I can now produce 10 times more to edit, that means that I'm so if anyone is inclined to help out to touching up textures and doing stuff like that, there will be room for that, so to speak.
Wow.
So I put myself into a position of having tons and tons of Photoshop stuff to do, but it's fun. Doodling in Photoshop is a lot of fun. So it's actually it's kind of, it's very creative. So that is the big thing. Those are the big parts this spring, so to speak.
Very, very cool. So I guess we can just start looking at some maps, right? That's sound like a good thing to do here.
Mm-hmm.
So I got Melissa, I use this as a background. We can go right off the bat and hit this hard here. Let me see. I can widen this up too. I'm going to widen this.
Yeah, I mean, zoom in. This is the Gary Con convention map. This is the lodge. We've got the ski lodge, a ski chalet in the top right corner there. We've got I don't know, something else in the bottom left. I forget what they call it now. But yeah, so this is my rendition for Gary Con's map this year. Now it will have a complete background, but I'm really happy, by the way, with the green stone.
I like it.
I've not done this before. It's a completely different style for me. I was actually using some different tools in Photoshop than I've used before, and I am in love with the results. It's come out really, really, really nice. I've changed a lot of the furniture too. I always do little Easter eggs and stuff. Like the check-in desk is a proper check-in desk. There's a little book on it. There's a little key on it. And then the vendor hall too. I've actually got vendor booths in the vendor hall. Yeah, zoom in right there.
Yeah, you have to make it much bigger, since they broadened the scope and included the vendor hall.
Who's that, Jimmy Duffy walking out? I'm just kidding.
But so you remember, like the last time Gary Con, at the last Gary Con, they moved the vendor hall to here. Normally it was the Adventurers League, right?
Yeah.
And the vendors weren't particularly happy about it. So what I want to do in this particular map, this year round, is I want to make the vendor hall have a little bit more personality to it. Right, so there's a lot of hand-drawn sort of, skeletons, tables, desks, etc., things to sell.
Yeah.
That, by the way, that right there where the skeleton is at, that is the Frog God booth. That's where they're going to be positioned, and you'll see that there's a gazebo there.
Yeah,
that's an Easter egg, obviously, for Teagle Manor. And then there's that skeleton is actually wearing a goddammit Zach t-shirt. That's the dead Zach.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
And I
saw
put
some
him
comment. Yeah.
like in all my maps. There's a dead Zach in all of my maps.
That's fantastic.
But then the point is too, I wanted to have two people leaving the vendor hall just loaded down with gear.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's these guys, and that's why I got little arrow pointing to them, say these guys are leaving with merch, because I want people to know the vendor hall is here.
Frog
It's
logo.
actually much closer than you think. If you just cut across the parking lot, it's
Yeah.
right there. Oh, and then I've got the little troll lord, fog god
Yeah, I noticed
icon
that.
on
That's
there,
awesome.
and the Gary Con icon.
That is really cool.
Mhm.
So here's some neat things. I know my way around this place now, right? And
Yeah,
which
we've
is
been there.
really
Mhm.
Yeah.
unbelievable. I don't see Jay's hangout here anywhere. Where's the isn't it right here?
Oh no, okay, so I guess to the right of the picture. So yeah, down the hall there, and then you turn left, and it's one of those green rooms, like in the middle top.
No, but it's where the lodge main level. That's next to the stairs. That's
Yeah, I
where
thought it was right
the
here.
stuff. Exactly, that's where it is.
Right here
What
is the
was your
lounge.
hangout? Was that your room?
No,
No,
that's where I streamed my Gavin shows from.
Oh, yeah,
right,
it's
the
that
special
executive
secret-
lounge
The executive
that you-
lounge is right here.
Exactly,
Okay.
executive lounge where that is not part of
Yeah.
the common area. It's one of these hit rooms that only certain people and everybody that
Yeah, my
stays there-
Dragonborn lounge.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny, Gary.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what I'll do? I'll draw a little room there, and I'll
Yeah.
do something. I'll put your symbol. I'll put your logo there.
Oh, that would be.
Yeah, it's a
oh,
library and stuff in there too. So it's full of books and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
decked
I'll
out
do
as
it.
a little library. Yeah. Mhm.
So let me, as we're talking here and scrolling around, like the Chop
Yeah.
House, that's where we're gonna have our Anna. We're gonna have
Oh,
our
the
thing
Troll Lords.
with Troll
stuff.
Lord, and maybe
Yep.
even our game with Ed Greenwood may be in there as well too.
Oh,
On
okay.
this,
In
during
the
the
chop
afternoon.
house? Okay.
Yeah,
that's
when
cool.
at
Yeah.
lunchtime when it's closed, they're
Okay,
gonna
nice.
open it up for us too. Yeah, and then our Galewood. I think Galewood. This one, I think Galewood A is where our fantasy mapping show is. I think.
They've actually got games running out of it because they moved Legio 5 there.
All right,
this
so where,
year.
maybe it's
So
C.
I don't know which one. They may have you in B or C.
Yeah, and then I'll be DMing in here. Legends of
Okay,
Role
because you're a
Playing.
legend of role playing.
I am a legend of role playing.
Oh,
That's
that's
all right, Troy.
Galewood A is okay. That's the is that the one with the atrium where your atrium sitting? Is that Galewood A? No.
Yeah, I think Josh told me it would be great for our
Yeah.
both of ours are in there.
Yeah,
Legends
because I
of Lore
think
and the
mine-
But
Fantasy
that would
Mapping
be
Show.
weird to have a gaming in there. But
No,
so-
but our seminars and
Yeah, the
and
seminars we're talking.
yeah,
shows.
no, totally. No, and it's right for seminars, but they've
Mhm.
got Legio 5 in there.
Okay.
So that makes me really curious.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Is that the correct room? What's slightly to the left of that? Like, keep going, because those are the stairs. up.
here's the Swinghurst. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. No,
Is it Swinghurst is where
not,
they do the
both of ours aren't
seminars?
in the Swinghurst this year. We're not in the Swinghurst this year for
Oh,
Fantasy
okay.
Mapping Show. Josh has informed me that this is going to be perfect for us. All right, so
Okay.
I will. It's one of these, yeah. Well,
But how do you
notice
think this
every-
is working out? I think it's beginning to look really beautiful.
Oh,
it's awesome. It's great.
I love these
I
different
think
themes.
it's better than last year's and better than the one before. I think
Hey,
it's
Patrick.
going to really pop. And I'm going to put like I've got this vision. I don't know if I'll be able to do it because I'm not much of an artist. But I've got this vision of like this diesel punk. Again, I don't know what diesel punk is. This diesel punk city scape, like all in the background, in almost like an anime sort of style coloring. With like some characters looking onto it or something.
So this is the room you don't have on that map that is connected right there where those
Yeah.
steps are. This is
Okay,
this
well,
is
I'll get it
the
in there.
executive lounge, the snob lounge, and look, the entire warp group and me sitting at the
Yeah.
table there.
Yeah, no worries. I'll add it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why I don't normally add that type of thing is we don't want people obviously wandering in there, right? But I'll add it.
Yeah. I think it would be.
I'll get the shield on there.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. And then another thing for
That
Jake
will
gets
be
sneak
yeah.
stuff in everywhere.
And
Thanks,
I've got this almost clockwork pattern that I've been working on.
Yeah, I like it.
I'll do
With
a
the
clockwork,
cogwheels
and that's
and stuff,
no
yeah.
go zones. So I'll do a clockwork pattern and
Yeah.
put the shield on the top of it.
Thank you, Darth
Oh,
Vader.
it's awesome. Yeah.
That reminds me of those techno-industrial tattoos, right? What's it called? Biomechanical, right? A lot of those tattoos people get where they look like cogs.
Oh, yes. I love those. I love those so much. And I want this actually to look a little bit like that because I'm going to add some shadow on the inside of the walls. So it'll have this sense of depth. And so it'll just be all this like biomechanical tattoo, like bleeding through the map.
Yeah. So may I ask you, is it Luke that sets the theme every year? He tells you what theme he wants, or
yeah, but he's really, really sort of chill and cooperative. Like he's a perfect client. You know, I do this. This is all donated time because it's the convention. You know, but he's a client.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say in the first year he had that scenario with the dragon, right, that he had written. So he's like, here's the cover. This will be the scenario. Let's just say that this is going to be a sunken dwarven area that's all icy and stuff. So that's why it was an ice themed sort of one that time. Last year, God, I forget. Last year, because they did a Call of Cthulhu scenario, I did all of the spooky sort of theme to it. It was a little bit like Scooby-Doo,
with the dead sack
right?
in it as well.
Yeah. This year, they are going to have a scenario, but between all of us, like us 60 odd people here, I didn't like. They've got this dungeon in the scenario, and I forget who did it now, but I don't like it. It's really gaudy looking, and it's got these bright yellow and orange and blue lights. It's literally like a kaleidoscope. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do my walls in a similar color. I was like, but Luke, I'll do my floor in a similar style with the flagstone, but I'm not going to do the same colors. And he was like, well, what about Diesel Punk? That'd be a good theme because that ties in with his Ocarim. He's actually got a city.
Yeah, so he kind of grew in the discussion, so to speak.
So I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do Diesel Punk. So that's what we're doing.
And so, by the way, the Ocarim Shintufi Gaxworks, Luke has donated a couple of those signed for the fundraiser too. Yeah, in hard copy. And also, if you want to know where the cool people hang out late night, like me, sorry, I'm just kidding, like Alyssa, like Troller Games, like Curtis and his friends. Curtis isn't on tonight because he has a family thing, but that is here, right in this little bar back here in Evolve.
Right there in Evolve, that's where Stephen ignored me last year. Because and you know, I should actually put a Stephen in there ignoring me. I should totally do it. We were literally sitting back to back.
Yep.
I should add him.
Absolutely. That's it. And for example, like these rooms here where gaming is going on, these are huge. These rooms out here are huge. The Adventures League's huge too. So there's a lot of room for games here. Linwood's pretty big too. These you fit one in each, right? These areas. You know, these. I think didn't we play here in Geneva Bay when you for Call of Cthulhu?
They're almost like the VIP rooms in a way.
Yeah, they
There's
are the
big,
boardrooms.
single table in there, comfy chairs.
Yes,
they're great rooms.
Scottish Jeff, it's hard to do that. Trust me. You'll meet a lot of people just wandering when you're not looking for people's when you bump into them. That's how it works there.
Yeah, so, and if you want to find someone,
you're not going to find them.
Where the hell is Jay? Like you can't find him.
Yeah, well, I'm in the lounge. I'm in that special lounge area now.
But he can scream on Twitch and yell for people and tell everybody convention to come in.
Come in. Yeah, that's it. Yep. But this is awesome.
Yeah, I love this map. I love how it's really turning out. I really do. This weekend, I'm going to work on the background to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this thing turns out.
Yeah, and I love it. It's such a wonderful tradition because you do it every year. That's the cool thing.
That's because what makes it so awesome.
Exactly. It's the tradition
I feel
makes
really
it even
blessed
better.
And honored that they let me do it. And what I would love to do is just like do 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years of Gary Con maps, you know, because I feel like that would be leaving a little bit of a mark.
Yeah.
You know, Alyssa Faden did Gary Con maps.
Yeah.
For 10
how many years is this?
4 or 5.
This is the third one.
Oh, third. Okay.
This is the third one.
Okay.
Now. Because I did, there was a virtual one. So there was no map for that. So like it skipped a year. Yeah. So I've been doing them for 4 years, but I've only done 3 maps.
Yeah. So Styler, if you were ever going to go, Carlos and Greyhawk Mike are in the open game areas all the time. So you know, Carlos maybe just running something, you know, because Carlos runs his game late night. So when he gets up, he's waiting and killing off time wherever he goes, and he runs stuff. So Yeah.
And also the convention is not that big physical. So you can actually walk around and see almost every
Quick,
room
very
within
quick.
an hour or so. So it's not like Gen Con when you take a
No.
whole day to go through
It's nice
just
and
the
cozy.
basic
It's
stuff.
wonderful.
So
Yep.
yeah, so you
No,
can
I know you're
actually find
100%
people.
right.
Yeah.
That's one reason why I want people to know that the vendor hall,
Yeah.
the
Tina,
easiest way to get to the
thanks.
vendor hall is just to cut across the parking lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't have to go all the. You don't.
there.
Yeah, unless it's -10 out.
Oh yeah, but you can
Well,
go
yeah.
indoors as well, so
Yeah,
it's
the
not
indoor
that
is way
difficult.
longer than
Yeah,
the outdoor
it's a bit
hall.
longer, but
so.
yeah, but it's possible to go either in
Everything
or
is super
outdoors.
accessible.
But that's
and
cool.
it feels cozy. It feels like, intimate, so to
Yeah.
speak. I love it.
And
You
you
know
can
what?
see meet gamers on the way.
You know what you
So-
could do, Ellis,
yeah.
instead, and please, this is just a dumb suggestion from me. Instead of a room, you should make a secret door with my logo on it.
You got it.
The
Done.
secret door to
Done
the
deal.
That is
warehouse.
awesome.
Done.
You
That
like
is
that idea?
so-
And
yes.
everybody like, what's that?
You know what? I'm going to have a cartoon Jay standing on the other side of it. You've got it. No problem.
That's awesome. That would be hysterical. All right, we're going to bounce back and forth here. I'm leaving this up as our wallpaper on this screen for now.
Mhm.
So let's go to something, Anna. What do we got?
Let's start with the shield land. Start with number 2, and then we go on for a little bit. They're a little bit spread out here. So no, hang on a second. Start with number. Hang on a second. There is one here. Start with number 15.
Start at the end.
Yeah. It's halfway through. There's about 30 of them. So this is. I've rendered 2 areas. At 64K, meaning that is 60 by 60 miles at 5 feet per pixel. And this southern shield land that I will use for my campaign.
Yeah, we know it's crit wall. This is crit wall up here,
exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Right
yeah.
there?
So it's crit wall, Scragholm Island, and part of the near
Wow.
So and all that area, 60 by 60 miles at 5 feet per pixel. And I've also done the Altamira area, but we'll look at that map a little bit later. So this is an overview of the area I'm working with. There is a lot. You see, there is some lakes that look suspicious, just like spread out here and there. That will be turned into flat areas or bogs or marshlands or just flat terrain, so to speak, as needed. Because I add all the flat areas that could theoretically be lakes. World Machine makes them lakes. I've told it to do that, and then I can adjust it afterwards, so to speak, as I see fit. So there is part of it. So
this is once again not forested, correct?
No, exactly. It's not forested, and it's not even edited. It's just the raw texture out of it. The texture was a little bit too bright, so I'm going to darken it. But that's easy to do in Photoshop, so to speak. So that is the and look, go to 16, and there you can see we talked about crit wall a bit, so we can go to yeah. So there we have it. Now you can zoom in a little bit closer. Yeah. So this is again, I have to say, it's an unedited, just exported, put together in. So there's nothing done with it. But it's the embryo of the peninsula where crit wall is situated on, and then I have number 17. We can go in there where you can see what the detail look like. That's a little bit part of it.
Oh,
you
that's
can
even
zoom
closer
in.
Up.
Yeah. So this one shows, and this is the raw details. You get like the waters and stuff. So I'm going to edit this and tweak the textures a little bit here and there, and then add trees, roads, buildings, and all that stuff, so to speak. So there will be 2 Photoshop. First, there will be a basic Photoshop edit, and then I will also make a tree mask where I want the trees to go, and then back into World Machine, render all the trees so I get the right shading with all the trees in it, and then I'll finish off the buildings and the roads afterwards when I have that. So that will be two edits. But I can't. The whole big image in Photoshop is 64,000 pixels, or 65,500 pixels across. So it's a little bit beefy. Photoshop can't handle a lot of edit in it, so I have to actually edit it in pieces. But that's fairly easy. So just cut out a piece, and then there's masks, shading, and a whole bunch of stuff in Photoshop. So the image has, I think, I've rendered 32 layers with masks and stuff. So there's like first, this is what I call the composite texture. This is the World Machine that put together the texture for lakes, the texture for the beaches and stuff, the textures for rivers, and then the basic textures of the terrain. So areas that are flat are a couple of different grasses and stuff, and then the stuff that's supposed to be mountains normally, like slopes and cliffs that sticks out, they have the cliff texture. But then I rendered the whole area in each of these separate textures. So if I want to mix something out, I want I want a sandy area, I have the sandy texture, so I can just mask it in. And therefore it matches the profile of the terrain at all of it. And then there's a whole bunch of masks. There's mask for erosion, for elevation, for flat areas, and so on and so forth, for recessed areas.
This
and
is
stuff.
amazing here. Like
the
sandbars that
yeah,
show up.
Yep, and
Wow.
and a little bit of a couple of times of Photoshop editing on that one, and it will look fabulous. So this is just the basics. Yep.
That's wow.
So
Really cool.
so the whole area is actually now in and so I will go over it. I will concentrate first around areas of interest, and then I will fill in the gaps as we go. So that's my
how long does a pass take on that 64 mile by 64 mile?
It takes about 10 hours.
10 hours on your machine.
Yeah,
wow.
On my machine. 10 hours on my machine to do each. So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that generates all the files and stuff. I can when I do the texture rendering, I can't render the whole thing. I have to render it in 3 steps, because even my machines kind of go, it's too much to render all of it. When I render the elevation in the beginning, then because first I render the elevation, I save that out. Then I import the elevation into World Machine, and then I do the textures. And last week when I had the mapping live stream where we just worked, I did the texture for Altamira that way. And then I render that out. And then I take it into Photoshop and I do the basic editing and decide where the trees go. Then I take it back into the World Machine, render the elevation so I get the tree knob so that looks right, so to speak. And then back out into Photoshop and put the civilization and stuff like that at the final. So it's like a 4-step process to do the terrain. And
cool.
That, yeah. So it's kind of
exciting.
So those are the and there's a couple of, you can do number 20, number 18 and 20 are a couple of more that are from the same area and the same map. And again, this is just raw. I haven't dug into Photoshop. There's a little bit
I'm sorry, you said which ones you say 18?
Go to 18. Yeah, go to 18 first. That is one that you can see what World Machine can actually do really cool. This is like the banks of the Veng River north of Scragholm. On the northern side of Scragholm,
wow.
I imagine that there are these kind of mud flats and stuff. It's a huge river, so it's like a river delta in a way on Scragholm. So Scragholm is like has a spine of cliffs and stuff, and the rest of it is just old riverbed that has been kind of piled up over millennia, so to speak. And then you have these kind of mud flats that probably in the spring, when the river is as its peak, a lot of this is flooded, and in the summer and so on, more of it is exposed, so to speak. So it depends on the season. It's a lot of these kind of big. And you can find these kind of thing at the mouth of the Nile, the Mississippi, all huge rivers have these kind of enormous wetlands at the end. Nowadays, in our world, we have often regulated, we have dammed up the rivers and stuff. So a lot of this has disappeared. But in an untouched world, that a fantasy world doesn't have these huge water features to control water, that means that we have these kind of square miles of waterland. The Camargue in southern France is one typical, and yeah, so there are lots of them. The Volga have a huge one. So big rivers have these enormous deltas, but nowadays they are regulated. We have kind of taken them away on Earth in modern times, but they used to be there. So that's why I want to depict that. So as a
That's awesome.
And this is the raw renderings with a couple of renders. There will be little channels in there and stuff like that. So there will be much more nuance in it. But even the raw stuff is looking really, really promising. And then you have number 20, 19 and 20. You can look at them too, because they're the same project here. So here we have a halfway look at Scragholm Isle. So I built up on both sides, because Scragholm Isle is this kind of little bit of a cliff in the middle, and then you have these enormous banks of sand and mud and stuff on both sides.
And it's hard to
So
see that on any of the other maps. I mean,
exactly, it's
you
just
can't
a
see
hint
that.
at it, so to speak. I interpret the Darlene map and the descriptions of it. So I assume that Scragholm Isle has a kind of in the center of it, there is like, it's probably about 500-600 feet at this spine. There's some hilly areas a little bit in the middle. The rest of it is completely flat. And in the middle, you have some wetlands and stuff there too. And then you have these sandbanks and stuff that makes it kind of tricky to navigate. And the Veng River is a huge river, so
Right.
it's like the size of the Mississippi, I assume, or something like that. So each of these channels on either side of Scragholm Island is probably about a mile and a half wide. So they are definitely navigable with big ships and stuff. So that's why you can go all the way up to Critwell. Here is because I did a test area earlier on that I've used for my campaign so far. That was 15 by 15 miles, and here is I incorporate that area into this rendering, and that is a little bit tricky. So I had to, because it's a new render where I've added terrain. So I actually managed to match, but to my players' dismay, there are some areas that will actually change, and I warned them at the beginning because it's a temporary map. So there will be some terrain changes, but I'll try my best to match it, so there will be as little change as possible from the change. So we have Dillard and Aldet and stuff. So those, all the settlements and the detail maps will come during the spring here. So I will work in parallel with Altamira to do the detail maps here of the towns and the villages and the roads and with descriptions and stuff. And I've also start exporting out isometric area maps, so you can actually see the elevation and stuff. So I will take them into Blender and make isometric maps and stuff. That's another one on my to-do list to start working on that part too. But that's this one of the areas that I'm now working on that are the new generation of Greyhawk maps.
Fantastic. Alyssa, what should I bring her up?
Oh, anything.
How
I'm
about,
happy to talk about any of my stuff.
how about this?
What have you not seen this?
You talked about it, I think, on the last a month ago a little bit, but not much. You just mentioned it. We didn't see anything, I think.
Well,
so
we have the original Gaslight poster, right? Is this right? That's the original.
No, so Gaslight. So Chaosium last year asked me to do 2 maps for them.
Okay.
One was Gaslight London, which is what's on the screen right now, and I love this map. This map came out so good. I'm so glad that they asked me. But they also asked me to do their Rivers of London map, which released a month or so ago on PDF and is imminently going to be releasing as a hard copy. And Rivers of London is a big popular series in Europe, particularly England.
Yeah, that's
it goes by a different name here in the US, but it's actually a different game system. It's it's basically I imagine it like Harry Potter in like Britain, to be honest with you. There's magic and like investigating and things like that, but it's not Call of Cthulhu. It is a new game system altogether, and they asked me to do this Rivers of London map, which is a big freaking deal. And so this one is really, really different for me. And if you zoom in, you'll see I have every road of modern London drawn on this thing.
Oh my gosh.
Every road, every alleyway is on this map. But I did it as a tourist guide. That's the inspiration for the colors and everything. I had a whole bunch of tourist guides from London. And so I took some colors from them. I took some general styles and approaches. That's why you're seeing these sort of semi-isometric points of interest on them, because that's how tourist guides do it, right? A tourist map. But yeah, it's all on. And then the blue dotted lines, those are the old rivers of London that the books sort of follow. They're often underneath streets and things, but they're still there in London for the most part.
Super cool.
This was a fun one to do. Really, very different than my usual style. And it's also slightly tilted down. It's almost got like you're looking at a slight angle, because tourist maps tend to do that shit a lot too. So I actually had to draw it top down, but a little bit larger than needed, because in Photoshop I did the whole perspective thing and I cinched it down into an angle so it slightly slips away. And then you've got these inserts of all points of interest that are actually off the map location.
Right. You have, yeah. So you got some really cool.
And this key was also inspired by various actual sort of tourist guides. They would have these bright colors on them, this sharp, bold central London.
Well, they should look jolly and inviting, and
yes,
yeah.
So that's what I went with, and I've never done. I don't know. Well, even
it's awesome.
Alyssa, is this an entendre down here that fox hunting is not allowed anymore?
Right? No, these are characters from the books.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So now, don't ask me to draw art. I can only do cartoony, which is why they look like this. You know, but they wanted characters from the book, so this was my interpretation of them, and there apparently is a fox in the books.
Yeah.
Play Games Patty just said the Rivers of London, the novels are really good. I read most of them last year. So there you go.
That's fantastic. Well, now there is a role-playing game about it.
Cool. And I love the fonts that you use and the style that it's really fits the theme perfectly.
Another Walworth.
Between this and the Gaslight map. The Gaslight map, by the way, I want to make love to my own map. But like doing both of these back to back,
that's awesome.
I learned a lot about London. I've got to be honest with you. All of the different areas and things. I was like, oh, that's where the museum is located. Like, oh, that's where this is located.
Oh, that's great.
I had a lot of fun. Very, very different sort of style for me, this one.
Okay, so let me hit up now you have the Gygax magazine and the Cosmology. We're going to save them.
Well, let's do the Gaslight while we're talking about London.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Let's do the same city 100 years ago. So this is the finished map I submitted to Chaosium, and they're going to do a poster version of it, or at least a fold-out version of this. Talk about like they approached me to do this map. I think they just expected some black and white lines. Guys, on the just a simple shape or something.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I can't do that with London. I gotta go all out.
Yeah. So now I need to ask you a technical question. So when you have like the buildings, do you put them on a separate layer so you can use a layer style and then go with that?
Yeah, so I do tend to heavily lean on layers in general because I tend to screw up a lot, so the ink of the buildings is on its own layer. The actual texture, there's a color behind the buildings, which is actually almost like a salmon pink hatch shape. Then I actually used a mask on that layer, so I could actually almost erode the pattern and the coloring away, so it almost looked like an old print.
Oh yeah, that's because that's cool, because then you can adjust the opacity of the fill and stuff if you don't want that as strong and separate. So that's really smart.
Yeah, it gives me a lot more control. Even the solid black buildings were on their own layer in case I wanted to do something a little bit different with them later on. This is another one where I have every street. I was in various libraries across the world getting old maps from this period, and there was like the Bacon map of London or something like that is actually from 1890. So that was a great resource for me to ensure that I had all of the correct roads and everything. And then you'll notice I've got a lot of labels on them too. Like almost every single road is labeled, and that was huge fun. Because you can't look at a modern day map. You got to look at these old maps. And sometimes it's an old map. It's a scan. So it'll be just this black blob. And you'll see just road on the end. Well, what the hell is this? So then you go to other resources and sometimes even modern London. And like the street's gone, but there's a pub or a park named after it. And so I go, that's the name, Robbers Green or whatever. I'm like, that's what this little black blob is on the old map. Robbers Road. Okay, got it. It was so much fun.
And the great thing is it's legible. You can read them all.
It has to be. Mike Mason insists on legibility. And it's a little bit, it's not it's a little bit of a
How
joke
tight
in a
all
way,
this
but
is.
there's a lot of people that play Call of Cthulhu, who don't. Maybe are older people. They don't have the best eyesight. You can't throw this 3-point font on the page. It's just not going to fly. You
Right.
got to bump it up, bump it up, bump it up, bump it up. So I basically bumped all of the font sizes up to the point of breaking. Now, the book will have, I also did it that, Anna. I did all of the fonts in InDesign. So I was using Photoshop and InDesign.
I was just going to say, because you have these kind of bent along the street and stuff, and
yeah,
that
and
you
Photoshop
can't do that in
dies.
Photoshop. Exactly.
50 labels in Photoshop and it just chokes.
Oh, yeah, you can't. Yeah, you have to use
Can't do it.
InDesign or Illustrator to put the text in there.
So I did InDesign on this one, but I also have two sets. I have a set of fonts for the book, then everything that's too small is in a separate set, and that's for the poster. So I could toggle on the ones
depending
really,
on this.
really
That is really smart. Yep.
That's awesome.
I love this map. This is one of the highlights for me from last year. I think this came out so good. And once I've got past Q1 of this year, my intent is to draw old cities kind of in this style. Like I'm going to draw New Orleans. Just for giggles. Right. And do these old cities like in 100 years ago and just see how they come. I love the top, by the way, as well. That like just everything about this, the decoration on it, I don't normally do. The Stafford's map of London. Yep. I hand drew that Stafford's map of London. So that's not even a font.
Oh my gosh.
I hand drew all of that.
And you say you have no artistic talent? Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. I couldn't.
Well, let's call it a specific field.
Yeah.
Just don't ask me to draw a hand, okay? I'm like Mid-Journey that way.
Wow.
And then even the key down the right-hand side, I'm really happy with how that came out because it feels period.
Yeah, it
you
does.
know?
Yep.
Yeah. Really cool.
And the wording on this, like a list of principal locations, they don't do that nowadays. It's so charming. I fell in love, I think, with aspects of this map that had nothing to do with the drawing.
Yeah. I like how it's all in large type too, for the most part, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at maps that actually did that from the actual period. I'm like, okay, this is what they did back then. Also, a true story, but Mike Mason wouldn't let me get away with this, is one of the, I think it was the Bacon's map of London. I swear they had 27 different font treatments going on this map.
Gosh.
They had italics, different kerning. They had different font faces going on, multiple different font faces, all sorts of different sizes, so many. And I was copying that to begin with. But Mike was like, no, simplify, because this is a modern audience at the end of the day.
Right. So that is awesome.
Yeah, really happy with how that one turned out. I don't know when they're planning on releasing this, but you'll know about it here on the Fantasy Mapping Show when they do.
That's awesome. Anna, what should we we're hop back and forth here?
Let's take a quick pick at the Furundi map that I put in there. Yeah.
Thanks, Patrick, for doing that for Alyssa.
This is a series.
I like this style.
Well, I can explain a little bit. It's simply what I've done is that I've taken my campaign map is not maintained as well as the regular ones because it's kind of in between editions, and I keep tweaking it whenever I get like this is from my campaign version of it. That's why it's labeled Meyerhawk. So what I do with my campaign map is that when I want to I flesh out an area as I get the feel for it and to prep for my own games and stuff. And now I felt that I want to present them, not the whole map in one go, because then I get questions on a lot of stuff that is not even ready for my eyes, barely. It's kind of not even remotely, but Furundi is I've done an overhaul of Furundi the last couple of years, and now I think it's almost there. So it's time to show off a little bit what I've done with Furundi as a country.
On the regular map.
Right? It's very barren. But what I done first of all is that this is Furundi in 598, close to 599. So now Furundi has been independent for a couple of hundred years. The Great Kingdom has fallen apart, and that meant that Furundi is now more assertive. So what they've done is that they level up before Furyundi was originally a province in the Great Kingdom. Then it became a province in the Viceroyalty, so it was a sub-province of the empire, so to speak. But after it became independent, then it became a kingdom and full sovereign in its own right. And that meant but the provinces of Furyundi still had the Viscounty, a few of them were counties and earldoms. But a lot of them were low nobility status. And so now it's more assertive. So I've leveled up all of them to full province status. They're high noble, they're earldoms, dukedoms, or archbaronies. They're no viscounties and stuff like that. So they've all been leveled up because they want to be on par with their other status, meaning they are as powerful as some countries, and they are as powerful as the provinces of Keoland or Nairond or the other ones. So that's one of the things. So this is where instead of you have County of the March up northeast, you have the County of Crystal Reach, the Archbarony of Kellinston. And what I've done is that then I've also subdivided each province into sub-provinces, baronies, and similar, so to speak. There are some holds and stuff like that are, and a few marshlands too. Marshland is one of these areas that are run as a military protectorate. They are usually borderlands, areas that doesn't have a proper noble assigned to it. So they are under martial rule from the king himself, issue a knight or someone to run that area temporarily, or given early on and say that, well, you've done so great in the war, and they get as a job to run it, so to speak. They're usually called marshlands. And then you have holds. There's someone been given it, but they haven't been given a proper title yet. So they are usually called holds in my campaign. So, and even the Viscounty of Verbomonk is now the County of Verbomonk. So it's also been leveled up because they've been recognized by all the neighbors. So the Viscount of Verbomonk is now the count. So he's a full count. He's not minor noble. He's a major noble.
This is not your doing. This just still seems too much here.
Yeah. I haven't changed that one much on that local level because I haven't adventured there and have any plans to go. Yeah. So that's point of interest stuff. But then I've also added so in the baronies and stuff, I've added all the baronies have like their central town or city. I've added more roads. I can see that. It's much more fleshed out. So I have some of them are and I like the names have come to me over 2 years. I kind of worked on it, and a lot of the names are already recognized because like the barony of Valur up in the northeast, for instance, that comes from Barduk, the Port Valur. Right. So that's the barony of Valur, and south of it is the barony of Aragorn. That's from Living Greyhawk. Right. It's not a barony; it's just a town. And I simply say, well, that's the Baron of Aragorn, and he calls his barony after his family name and stuff. So I kind of tried to keep it as close to Greyhawk lore as possible and integrate what I know, and then fill in the gaps with something that I get the feel that it's hopefully doesn't stick out so my players and others can feel like it's getting at that is actually part of the setting. Yeah, Grex is one that I invented it.
Look at how many roads go into that. Jeez.
Yes, and that is a typical marketing town, because I realize in that open landscape like that, a lot of people probably have sheep, cattle, and stuff like that. So it's a lot of people that have livestock, and what they do often in the winter and also when there's time for slaughter and they want to sell the products and stuff, and that's where you have a lot of tanners and meat butchers and stuff like that. And it's also situated on the river, so you can ship the final product, like leather products, meats and stuff, down the river. And so it's basically a marketing town that a lot of people probably in the summer, they live out almost semi-nomadic. So they go out and tend to their herds. And when the weather gets bad and stuff, they come to town, so to speak. So it's a little bit of that kind of rural. And then there are small villages and stuff that I haven't added yet. So each of these baronies only have like 25% of data. There needs to be more towns and villages and stuff spread out. And I'm going to wait with that until I'm starting to map that in higher detail. So
this is
yeah.
this is not going on the regular Greyhawk map. This is for your campaign, or is this going to go
Yes.
on the? Okay.
It depends. If people fall in love with some of it, and some of it I will put, like now I put Oldit on, and Dillard goes on my regular map because I will detail them just like you have done with Altamira and stuff. So things that have detail, and if people start asking me, oh, and get details. So as I detail it and stuff, it will probably, so some of this will go into the public map. But I will also, that's one of the projects this year, is to upgrade this map to its full status, and I will release my campaign version of this map too. So I will, during the year, I will bring it up, so all the other changes that I've done to the other maps will be reflected on this one too.
I think this is like, for the campaign, I like
Yeah.
this level because there's plenty of room still to add in.
Oh yeah,
your
exactly.
own.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mac asked, are there droveways near the towns that they slaughter the animals? They would have droveways for like.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, that will be. You can't see them on this one, but
Right.
and some of them names go down to the. There is Gorsend and Gorford and Earldom of Willip. So go closer to the Nurdöv in the southeast of Furundi. That you have go a little bit north. And you have there's Gorford, Gorsend, and stuff. That those names come from, and there is a town or city called Gorsend, and that is just in the green spot there on I think it's from the ashes, or I think it's from the Marklands.
Marklands. It's
definitely
from
the Marklands. It appeared the first time, so to speak, and it's a city, and it's called Gorsend. And I realized that there was no river or something, so I simply invented the river Gore, and the city is at the end of where it's navigable. That's why it got its name. And then I invented a town closer to the Nurdöv that I call Gorford, because it's the ford across, or the bridge across the river Gore, and then So I try to bring things together a little bit, and so I try to make sense of the names, and sometimes it's the other way around, that I take a name and try to construct a name from the circumstances, but sometimes it's the name that gives the map, so to speak. So
it's definitely good. I like it.
Yep.
Because Furundi is one of those. Niron's that way too. It's like, man, lots of open areas. Awesome. So we're going to keep this roll on Greyhawk stuff. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Sound good? All right. We'll bounce back and forth. So here we go. We'll start with your first final color, Krakenheim, right?
Oh yes.
This is the final.
I know. Have you seen this one?
Yes, you shared it on your Patreon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't you know what it's like though? People don't necessarily see everything on the Patreon.
No, but I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the detail on this.
I think I even commented on it. Said it was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this I thought just came out
a couple of weeks ago or something like that. Right?
You upped the level of detail on all the buildings since the last one. Oh my gosh!
I've gone nuts on the details on my maps because this is a labor of love, right? I really want to create showpieces. I kind of want to just put something down on the table that the community really, really likes. And yeah, I went crazy on this one, but I'm going to go crazy on all of them. I had so many little details, even in the yards. Like I would have a little tree stump with an axe in it, you know, or in the shipyard area, I've got tables with tools on them, you know, and ladders leading up and stuff. I really wanted to go all out on this, including the boats. You've got all of like the little wood shapes and things in them. The stuff that's on the harbor there. Now, the thing about Krakenheim is, of course, this is Frost Barbarians. So the temptation is to just like plaster this thing with ice and snow. But we didn't want to do that. You know, it was important to me that you look at it like, and there's grass areas that have snow that are built up, and there's some snow on rooftops and the likes. But I don't want it to be completely white. So I wanted it to feel cold, but not just white everywhere.
But you really succeed, because I love the color tone, the color temperature and stuff. You get the Nordic kind of cold feel out of it, and yeah, so that you really that's I think is perfectly spot on.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
there's a shipyard with boats
it just
like being
pops.
repaired or
Yeah.
in progress.
When you zoom in, you catch all the little nuances and details, and the roofs are just from the above view are just so varied. And I mean, it just
Mhm.
um, they don't get like in certain maps you lose like you see it all, but you lose like what you're trying to focus in on. This allows you to focus in on a certain building because they're all different. You're not.
Yeah,
Does
well,
that make
well,
sense?
that was important to me as
Yeah.
well. I don't like cutting and copying at all on
Wow.
my maps because the eye sees it.
Right.
Right now, on certain maps, you need that. Certain periods, like if I was doing like the Georgian period and I was doing terraced houses, they're going to have a very similar sort of feel. But this is Krakenheim, and I think it's important that there's a certain amount of personality to all of the buildings. That's the tannery right there,
Oh,
away
I was
from
wondering
everything
what all the different
else.
colors
Yep.
were. Look at that. Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
Yep.
I was trying to.
We've got some little sort of hides going on right there.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. They have pits with different dyes in them. Is that how it
Oh yeah,
works?
yeah. They
Yep.
have like urine in one
Oh,
or
cool.
some other stuff. Oh yeah, it's smelly and yucky as hell, but it's
Yeah, here it's
Mhm.
a terrible.
And I wanted to
smell.
resist the temptation of putting buildings outside the walls. One thing that I loved about some of the resources that I was looking at is they did so much inside the walls.
Oh
That's
yeah.
why they've got these animal pens in here. They've got some sort of farm
Yep.
areas in here. You'll see that the buildings thin out as you start getting closer to the walls, and there's a lot
Yeah.
more sort of cattle area and the likes. And I thought that adds personality to
Yeah.
what is Krakenheim.
Yeah. And then
But
you
I
got your
also think
Stonehenge
since
site.
the walls were mostly like mounds, most of it, that means that they're not that expensive to do. So you can cover a much wider area because the fortifications aren't as elaborate as a stone wall, but that requires way more labor to do. So, and a lot of the
Oh
probably
yeah,
also use,
this is all wood. This is like a
yeah,
mound,
mhm,
and they
yeah,
had logs leaning up
yeah,
against this
mhm,
mound, and
yeah,
then there was the stockade itself.
mhm,
I got photos of that sort of
yeah,
modern recreation that they've
mhm,
done from you,
yeah,
and so I copied
yeah,
that wall
mhm.
style
Yeah,
exactly.
and a lot of it was done. They located a lot of these, and actually in flat areas where for a couple of reasons. One was that there was good agriculture area, so you had good soil inside the settlement, and the other one was also that, and they put it usually close to water. So what they did was that once the area was soil and clay, they could actually dig up the moat, and what they dug out from, they created a moat and a mound at the same time. So they took the clay and the soil from the mound and simply piled it up, and that created a wall, or like a natural wall, and then they reinforced that with like logs, and then they usually built sometimes a stone wall on top, but usually only a wooden fence, and with like big stockade up on top, so to speak. So that way they created the moat, the mound and wall in all in one, and that way they could fill it with water from the coast, or from the river, usually a
In
bit
artist
upriver.
renditions that I saw of the
Yeah.
moats around these, none of them, in fact, none of them were moats. They were all ditches.
Yeah.
Oh
And I
yeah,
pondered
So
on
they'd
that.
freeze over.
And
yeah,
I was like, so
but
why, especially if you were close to a river, which a
Mhm.
lot of them were,
Yeah.
why would you not make it into a moat? And I came to the conclusion, well, I guess it would freeze.
Yeah, that's one of them, and also they might flood in the summer, but or in spring. But what they did often was that they had dams, so they can open them and flood them in case the enemy came.
Hmm.
So they had a small thing that you can easily in a couple hours. So they knew there was going to be siege. Then they can fill them with water if they want to. But often it might be even better, and you don't want to fill them all. You can just fill them a little bit, so you get like muddy yuck at the bottom rather than high up, so to speak. So there's
No, I just
plenty
think
of stuff. Yeah.
so is this a market/auction house area?
That's a market area. So
Yeah,
I
so-
actually asked my patrons if there was any particular building that they would like to see on here. And one patron, Guppy, shout out to you, said that he wanted a buried ziggurat that they had
that's what this is.
built a marketplace on top of. And that's why it looks like a raised block there, two
Yeah.
raised blocks.
That's
I was
interesting.
like, yeah, you know what? Why not?
Oh, I
This is
see
a
it now. I
fantasy.
see it.
Mhm. Yep.
city after all. So there is some kind of old structure here.
That's neat.
Yep.
It's kind of like, what was the name of that place in Mexico that you just see a mound. They had pictures of it in like 1890, 1900. It's just a mound of dirt, and then they covered the entire ziggurat. The entire
Yes.
thing was covered. I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
And there is the fantasy element in this. Now
yeah.
I looked a lot at the modern recreations and sort of visual sources that we've got to make sure I had inspiration for roof styles and even like faces leering off the edge or antlers or whatever. But yes, the longhouse, I went big. I was like, if this is the capital city, this is not your standard longhouse right here. And so that ended up being an impressive structure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, so this is actually that way is south, right? The north.
I always do north at the top.
Oh, is it?
It breaks my brain
Yeah.
otherwise. Yes,
Okay.
north is because it's a river estuary that comes down.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then it's sort of like this. I even have an Anamaya sort of older map, I think, where it's kind of like close to the river estuary, but it's not right on the river estuary.
Yeah, I love the break in the water even.
Yeah.
So awesome.
And then I saw this artist rendition of a Viking city that had this wall actually coming out into the river, and it had breaks in the wall. I was like, that is so cool. Again, anything that's cool gives personality to this city, right?
Yeah.
So because I am not drawn any other city ever that has a wall like this, especially with like the almost the towers overlooking the entrance inside. Right. I was like, this just looks so good. And no other map I've seen has ever got anything like this. Let's do it.
I just love like the curved road right here. I mean, just that adds flair into it. Nothing is. It looks planned, but it's not like DC, right? It's not. There's not a lot of right angles. I mean, it's like wherever it built out. It's neat.
And it follows the terrain. So,
it follows the terrain too.
Right. So exactly. When Anna and I, obviously, we have the benefit in this sense of coming from Europe. So we grew up around this type of thing all of the time, following a hill, following the terrain, but also just the slapdash way that places would just grow.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And buildings would be knocked down and new buildings would be put up. And so it has a very organic feel to it. I do know there was the medieval times somewhere in France, there was a couple of cities that were planned, but otherwise they're not. And so I wanted this to feel not.
Yeah.
All right, explain this, please.
Well, this is a road coming in towards the main longhouse, right? So I thought, well, this would be like really appropriate for them to have like these big carved poles flanking the road. Maybe they've got some kind of religious significance. Maybe the elders or the previous sort of thanes, images as you are heading towards the longhouse itself.
Exactly. It's the entry. You can put like various things to impress visitors that comes into the longhouse.
Cool. Yeah, and that's I think Anna, I know you do this. I like putting myself in the city, right? It's like, what would you do? You got this big, huge longhouse here. Like people walking towards it, that would be a special avenue. They want to impress. It would become this very important road, and they would do something with it.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
that's why I've got a couple of sort of little sort of temples and smaller longhouses kind of in the district around it. You were looking at like the like Stonehenge like structure and like that exactly because there are multiple gods, right? They're going to have multiple gods here, and I figured that they would have these special buildings. Why not other longhouses? But this, I think, came out looking really good.
Oh my gosh, yeah! I will say my favorite is the tannery. I mean, I just love it. I've never seen this ever placed like this ever anywhere in a map, in a fantasy map ever.
I tend to put tanneries on my map. I actually for Troll Lord Games when I did that whole series of cities, or from the small the village and the hamlet, etc. Growing up, I had a tannery on that. for the longest time. And I actually had it the other side of the river because no one wants to deal with that smell.
Yeah, I have one tannery on my Syrian keep that I used for the last adventure, the one that we have on the virtual Greyhawk and the that I've run afterwards, and we're still on the map. And there is a tannery on that one too that I placed half a mile down the river too for the same reason. It's
Right.
like on a separate little river, so they can have they can empty their bed chambers and stuff from and pots and they can put all the crap in there, and the tannery is on that side, and then they can use the other one for drinking water and stuff.
So
Jay, zoom in on the gate on the southeastern side there.
This one.
So that gate, Anna was great. She shared with me an actual recreated sort of village that is out there in real life, and they have this gatehouse. And one thing you'll notice is that there's no flanking towers. Like the tower is over the gate,
right?
Right, you're literally entering underneath this.
It's
tower.
so they can pummel you with rocks and hot oil and stuff. So
I took this from the photo of that place. So it's got this almost this long roof, and it's got these stairs going up either side.
Yeah,
then it's got this almost a balcony out the front, so you can see who's down below. It was great just being able to recreate that.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. So for all of you out there that haven't Patreoned Alyssa yet, you have two now you can get a hold of. You have, here's Wamtham, the first one, right? There's Wamtham.
Yes, there's Wamtham. You get that as well. And what I'm doing every month, so every quarter I'll have a new one of these out. But I'm just every month I just keep I'm basically having a repository of these Greyhawk cities, and so you'll just join anytime. You'll be able to snag them.
This is cold. This is the far northeast of the Theronian Peninsula, right?
Yeah, it's like Alaskan or Scandinavian or Siberian in climate.
Greenland.
Yep. No, not that cold.
Not
that cold. No, it's not that cold. Northern side of the Thelonian is probably Greenland cold.
It's frost, ice, and snow barbarians. I mean, that's who were there. That's what they're called.
Jotsplat is probably cold as Greenland. Okay. So there you have like permafrost, and this is like they probably thaw it up in the summer a bit. So yeah, the river doesn't freeze over all year round. So yeah,
it's really cool.
It's awesome. Yeah.
So what we got, Anna Greyhawk wise?
We have some heraldry. Let's do some heraldry. Yeah, because this is
start with 7.
Yeah, this is heraldry work in progress. I have to say that. So this is that's the I'm working on elven heraldry and humanoid heraldry. So this is touching up and working. So I'm tweaking and trying to find the style. This is my heraldry symbol for Taranal. The Mike Bridges made this awesome map of the old elven kingdoms, and one that was in Vestvi that was named the Heartland in Marklands. The area is called the Heartlands, and he named it Taranal in Elven, and I kind of liked it, so I went with it. And this is my first attempt, or second attempt actually, to start doing Elven heraldry for it. So I kept the black style with the crescent moon on top and the tree. We'll see. I'm not there yet.
That tree is a step up from the Selene tree. Let me tell you something.
Exactly. I'm working on finding upgrades from the Selene tree. So it's a kind of an idea. I'm still tweaking. We're not there yet, but we're halfway there. So it's getting there, so to speak. So that's the and then I have Kershane, another elven enclave that is in the Living Greyhawk. They invented an elven enclave that they say belongs to Perronland. I say no elves belong to Perronland, or at least not in. So for me, it's where the capital is of Taranal is up in Kershane. It's the last of those elven cities in the mountains that used to be everywhere back in thousands of years ago, and it's the last one that is the whole. That is the Rivendell of Greyhawk, so to speak, up there. And I wanted to make a symbol for it. So this kind of symbolizes a little bit of both flowers and the mountain, so to speak. So it's not. I'm not fully happy with it, but I'm slowly getting there. So it will need some more iterations and stuff. And there's go to 10 after that number.
10, okay.
Oh yeah, just to show a little bit. I'm experimenting. We put them on my
Oh,
campaign
there it
map.
is.
So
There's
yeah,
Kashane.
so this is a little bit where they will, and there's more of them coming. Maybe I didn't add that one. You can see there's Flame Flower has its heraldry there too. You can zoom in a little bit there. So there you have. I'm adding heraldry for that one too.
Nice.
So I'm slowly trying to find a style for the Elven heraldry.
Mike's on.
I'm
He says he
half.
loves it. So there you go.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So it's kind of, yeah, it's halfway there. So this is kind of a, yeah, working heraldry, but it's might not be the final version. So I'm working with, and there you can see Kershane, that is the capital province of Taranal, up in the mountains there.
Yeah, this is definitely not. It's its own. It doesn't. Parent has nothing to do with this. It's
Exactly.
remote.
Yeah.
This is remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. In my campaign,
Isolated.
that is the valley that is they actually where they govern Taranal from. So Instad and Keshane are my elven centers in the Flanese.
Okay.
And High Folk is another city, and Flame Flower is another one, and so on. That so there are different
Cool.
areas up there. So those are the up in the Elven. And then we have number 9. That is one I added for the port sentry or the bright sentry. I have the port town that have grown up after during the war and after the war. They needed a new port because Critwall was threatened by IU, so they built port sentry that is near the light tower or the lighthouse port sentry. So I made a heraldry for that town and bright sentry. So I just took the blue sky and the bluer near Döv and made a simple lighthouse. So it's kind of obvious heraldry, but I still feel like it was appropriate, so to speak. So this is very, very quick and dirty, but I think it did a job and I also wanted it to be simple because that's heraldry they kind of invented during wartime. No one had much time. They just slapped it on and say, I'm from here. And the town kind of sprung up quickly. And now we move into humanoid territory here. So here we have, this is hang on a second here. I need to go in. So that is the Bleeding Blade Hobgoblins up in the Hoch Jebline tribal lands of Maglubiet, up in the northern Horn Society. And so those are the hobgoblin tribes and goblin tribes in the northern Horn Society, and they're now the Hoch Jebline tribal lands in north, and that's so, and this is work in progress that I'm more happy with, but yeah, so there, go to number 14, and there's a different version of the same heraldry, and this is a more primitive version of the same heraldry.
That's cool. It looks like just rough finger paints, which makes it look cool.
Yeah. So I think something more, but the other one is cool too. So I'm not really so cool. Yeah. So that is the kind of stuff. Thank you guys. Yeah. So that's the kind of style that I want to that's move into. So I have the Bleeding Blade, the Flayers, the Black Sun, the Hagrak, Skull Smashers, and the Broken Sky, and there's a bunch of them. And I didn't come up with all these names. They are from, some of them are from Marklands I use the evil and stuff. So yeah. So I've added a name or two, but most of them are from that book, so to speak. So I'm just trying to.
13 here. Oh,
yeah, 13. That's another one of the same. So I have 3 versions of roughly the same. This one is the Black Sun hobgoblins. So there is like a sun around it. You can barely see it, but I wanted them to look a bit rusty and battered, and you have to kind of study them close up to really see what they are. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. So these are my try to get the feel for the humanoid heraldry of the Flanese. So I'm going to work on the Ursun up there north. That I took them from Adventure Begins. They have that shield that looks a little bit like a kite or something. It's a kite shield, I think, with a pointy bottom up there. And now I'm working. I'm going to there is a whole bunch of them up, Ursunagard and stuff like that up. And there's several cities and stuff that I'm working on them. So I have probably about a 20 or so heraldry for the various humanoids and other cities and stuff up for the Ayusian Empire, and then probably another 5 or 6 or so for Elven lands. I haven't got into Dwarven ones yet, but that's another one that I want to go in and do it. So yeah.
Everyone's got 2 giveaways tonight, by the way, for All Games, $25 gift certificates. I have the codes, so you will get them tonight. So, wow. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll do cosmology next and Altamir last. How's that sound? I think that'll get us through we'll see. We'll see. We may have more to go on this. Then we haven't even discussed our WTF discussion.
No. We stayed out of it so far.
We stayed out of it so far, which is a good job. Wrong button.
Oh, okay.
First wrong button of the night there. Man, I haven't had a wrong button in a while.
Except I was going to say, you've been doing good for several streams.
Yeah. Boing.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, wrong button.
This is insanity personified.
Oh, yeah. Alyssa, now you need to guide us through this galaxy of stuff here. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so actually, Jay, keep this one handy, but bring up the older version that I did like 2011, 2012. So back around 2012, I want to say Gygax magazine #1. I was approached to draw a map to accompany an article that James Carpio was writing. And James was writing basically about the big bang of role-playing games, the birth of Dungeons and Dragons with TSR, and then the explosion of games and publishers that came off from it. Now, granted, I sat there thinking, well, how do I draw a map of role-playing games by year? And this is what I came up with. It is the big bang. We've got the explosion in the center with those fake lines going out to each side. Each one was about 5 years or something like that. And so I placed planets and names basically when they were first published. And each one of these matches something that James mentioned in the actual article itself. But you may notice it's missing a lot. And that's, I mean, people love looking at it. It has a nice warm feel to it. People love looking at the names, etc. in there, but there's only maybe 60 titles maybe in there. So I decided a year or so ago, I was going to do a 2023 version of this. And that's the other map. That's this one.
That's right.
Now, there's 1,200 names on this right now, thereabouts. And I think I have almost everything. Now, it's core games, not scenarios, not campaign settings. It's core systems on here. Now, I don't do each individual edition unless it's a special case. I obviously have all of the iterations of Dungeons and Dragons. It drifts out into then, Paizo. It drifts out into WotC on the right-hand side there. WotC is the slight green hue of money. And it actually
awesome.
That's
awesome. It has a fluttering of banknotes going off right around 2023.
Oh, that's so fun.
Oh
my gosh,
cool.
look at that.
That is awesome.
Oh, that's hysterical.
There's my little doff of the cap to WotC.
Oh my gosh, that is
that is so
freaking
cool.
wonderful.
You should have it.
It's appropriate.
Dissolve into money at the end.
It dissolves into money.
That is brilliant.
So what I've done is we're at the heart of the universe of role-playing games. We've obviously got TSR, and with something like any big publisher, I put the publisher name there, and then I create this nebula of their games. And so you can see and you'll see we've got those little sort of blue sort of nebula of TSR going off to the left and sort of right, and little planets and moons for all of their systems on the correct timeline. And then you'll see that we've got Steve Jackson Games above it, and like his titles that he's released. And each of these is a nebula. Now, Call of Cthulhu is the slight black one.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, I should say it's Chaosium. It's a slight black one. And instead of planets, I've got eyeballs.
Yeah.
And one of them has little tentacles coming off it, just as a little bit of personality for the actual sort of Chaosium guys right there. We've got something similar going on with White Wolf. White Wolf, I went with a bit of a red hint because obviously they've got the werewolf and the vampire. Go towards the left.
Go toward the left.
Bottom left.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Hero
There's
games.
your White Wolf. And I actually did all of their
yeah.
versions of Vampire in here too, because I think there was a later on, Vampire was actually then taken over by Modiphius, I think. That they did the latest iteration. So you'll actually see towards the top left of that, then
There's
it goes
so
into
many.
the Modiphius title. Oh, yeah, right.
I didn't realize there was so many in their universe.
White Wolf one blew my brain out.
Yeah,
When I actually started gathering, I'm like, holy heck, they've done so much stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is fantastic.
What I love about this project is people look for their favorite titles.
Mm-hmm.
Now the yellow ones are the work in progress. All of these will get the sort of proper sort of font treatment. They'll get their own little moon and things like that. But I think I have the most of the big publishers done. I haven't done Pinnacle. There's a few other sort of ones floating in here that I do need to get their particular nebula in place. But yeah, this is a great. I don't know. It's just a great thing for people like us just to look at and sort of say, is my title in here? Does she have James Bond 007? Because that was my favorite game back in the day. And every time I post this, everyone is like, yeah, but do you have this? Do you have this? And sometimes I don't, and I now add it.
All right, I'm looking for Aftermath.
Aftermath is in there.
Yeah.
So Simple System by Dashing Inventor Games. Never heard of that one.
I see MechWare. There's MechWare.
Simple System?
By Dashing Inventor Games. That is super cool. I need to Google that.
Top secrets
and see what the heck that is.
Top secrets here. It's right here in the center.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've just typed that down because if I don't have it, I will add it.
No, you have it on the map.
Oh, I do. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
but I didn't know what the heck it was. I was like, I need to check
There's
that out
so
to see what it
many
is.
like that.
Yeah.
Anna. There's so many. Like I'd be writing these things down and go, what the hell is this?
Yeah. How have you figured that? Have you seen it in conventions that people tipped you off for what games are available, or how have you found
funny you
these?
should say that. So the historical ones are the easiest in a way because I actually have a collection of books of every single role-playing game that's ever been released. And it talks about the companies and their ebb and flow and their personalities. And it's kind of a great collection. And Pex, who used to be my social media guy, he actually went to various sources and gathered this big, huge list of about 1,100 titles. And that has helped a lot. But as we get into the more current years, that's actually where things start to drop down because there's less resources out there just listing the modern things that have been released. So I'm finding that I'm walking around game conventions going, all right, so what's this booth? What have they published? All right, let's make a note of this name. And then I'll go off and start researching them online, to see what they've got out there.
Listen, this is like trying to go to every Starbucks in the United States. They build 3 a day, and you just never. I mean, it's just like this. But once
again, open new ones first.
Bunnies and Burrows is on there because the publisher of Bunnies and Burrows, the guy behind it, actually was looking for it the other day on my Facebook wall, and it's like, I like the name. I like the location of Bunnies and Burrows is.
So once again, Jay gets his head blown up a little bit because of something for Triller Games here that Alyssa added and told us beforehand. So here we go.
Yeah, you see it. You see it.
It's a kumquat.
And it doesn't look out of place. That's the craziest thing.
Oh, that is so cool.
So wonderful. Oh my God. Yeah, that is awesome. Oh, I think I love that.
There's all sorts of little Easter eggs in there too. Like WotC, all of the WotC planets are coins.
Okay.
So there's little things like that. There's Cubicle 7. Cubicle 7 has some special planets on it. Margaret Weiss, she actually had Serenity.
Yeah, I saw that over here in Firefly.
So I've actually got the Firefly ship.
Yeah, I see that
on there for it right there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So there's a couple where I go, you know what, I'm gonna make this have a little bit of personality.
You got to limit it somehow. I guess English games, because there's so many of
Alyssa,
them.
you have to do D&D 1 and make it like a Tower of Sauron with the eye on top.
Oh, that'd be
Or
cool,
something.
actually. Yes.
Yeah,
I love
I
this.
should do
This
that.
is such an innuendo thing here.
Yep.
And you're like, what is that? I can just see a watching
Make
person
it
go, what is that? That looks
Yeah.
like bills.
And make it like an ominous
Oh,
at
gosh.
the very outside,
That's
like
so
D&D
great.
1 and or something. Yeah.
NPL, no,
Yeah.
I'm doing foreign titles too. I have a whole bunch of
Cool.
foreign titles
my
in here.
gosh.
I have
Wow.
Japanese
Yep. Mhm.
titles, I have
Yep.
Swedish titles, German, Spain, Portugal. I have them in here as well.
I never heard of
Great.
Gemini. That's a Swedish game, apparently. I never heard of that. Yep.
So this
This is so cool.
This is like, wow. And,
Polish,
so
The
when
Witcher,
will
yep.
this be available like a poster?
Oh, that's a great question.
2030?
I want it available at GaryCon this year.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to happen. But I want to. Here's my plan, and Luke has agreed to it. I want to get a version of this printed, poster size for the auction, and have all of the guests sign it. And Luke said that they'll do it, so I'm trying to push to have it done, at least for the auction.
Yeah.
In March.
That's great. That is awesome.
Oh,
wow.
People...
Yep.
This is like, if you get make that full size movie poster size, put that in. I'd love to have that in my gaming room.
Yeah. What is the size of this thing if it would be printed?
Off the top of my head, I think I'm drawing it about 60 inches tall.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's good. 32 by 60 or something like that.
I looked up poster sizes,
and
I went with a large one, so I've got
60
dimensions to
it. There are a lot of printers who can do 60. Noble Dwarf can do 60, I think. So you can print
Noble
it.
Dwarf. I'm going to do a test to see how this comes out on canvas, because you do lose a little bit of
exactly.
The detail.
Canvas is tricky for fonts, and since text labels are really important on this one.
So much on here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another one where I'm using InDesign and Photoshop at the same time. I'm doing all, because Photoshop would explode.
Oh yeah, Photoshop, you can't do text labels in Photoshop.
So I do all of the labels over here with a Photoshop
and then you
embedded. Then I export it as a PNG transparent background. Go over to Photoshop so I can then use that as my background and put my planets and nebula in the correct system. Then I resave that as a JPEG, which then is the new layer that goes in InDesign. It's so freaking ridiculous.
Yeah. To me, it's weird that for like 20 years now, Adobe still can't open and it's not transparent between the applications, and it's weird. It's like PSB files, that is an Adobe native file format. Illustrator can't read it, and you can't, and some of them can't read transparency from the other app, etc. So it's kind of weird that Adobe doesn't have full compatibility within its own ecosystems of apps, which to me it's amazing that after so many years, meaning they've had Illustrator for over 20 years now. From they bought it from Macromedia back in the mid 90s or something like that, late 90s.
I know, it's ridiculous.
So after over 20 years, they should at least be able to figure
you
that
would
out.
think. Bothrin, it's there, and off the top of my head, I think Tunnels and Trolls is slightly northeast of the main TSR Nebula. I think it's up there almost by the big huge yellow glow. But Tunnels and Trolls is absolutely in there, because as a kid I used to play it a lot.
Yeah.
Morrow Project, yes, the Morrow Project, I've got that. It is on there. And by the way, I don't mind people throwing names at me at all. I definitely have most. I'm not saying I've got all, particularly actually the ones that are a little bit more current, because documentation is actually thinner.
Yeah. Never heard of Cadwallian before. MPL Illustrator. But again, there's a lot in yellow here. I mean, there's way more in yellow than it's done.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing Drakar.
Play Games Paddy. Yeah, Drakar Demoner. That's a Swedish role-playing game. It should be out there from early. Yeah. So if you don't have that one, you should have it on it.
I do have it. Drakar.
Yeah, good.
Demoner.
Yes, exactly. That's the one.
I can't say who this is by? Like Adventure Games,
it's by the Free League. It was actually by the predecessor of Free League, the original
I
one.
just put it in chat.
Yeah, and Free
That's
League.
what I've got down for
Yeah,
it.
and it's being released now in English as well under the name of Dragonbane. And originally it was Dark Demon. It's based on the Chaosium's engine. RuneQuest originally, I think it was a RuneQuest adaptation that came out early '80s. I played it back when it came out, but we liked D&D better, which is too bad because they actually asked me for a review of it. They sent us a review copy, and then we were supposed to review it. And I sent. Then when they called me, I simply said, "No, we like D&D much better. This is crap." And that was stupid of me because if I placed it, I might have gotten a career in the Swedish RPG industry, but I didn't.
Maybe
I screwed it up by being rude to them, which is bad because the early editions were not that good. But then it came out in later editions and it got really good. So I think that the new Dragonbane or the new Drakar Demoner will be really, really cool, I think. Yeah.
Alyssa, is there Frog God on here?
Yes.
Frog
God is slightly to the right. Well, Mythmere is slightly to the right, but I think Frog God is actually no. Frog God might not be because Frog God has not actually come out with a core system.
Sword and Wizardry is not theirs.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oh,
you're
that
right.
was
Let me just check it.
Was that Necromancer Games or something? Or yeah.
I've got Team Frog on here.
Yeah, this one, Swords and Wizardry, Frog God. There's Michael Zudrak's on. That's what I said. No longer Matt Finch took Swords and Wizardry back. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah, I think Mythmere Games has got Swords and Wizardry, right?
Okay. Oh, good. Thanks, Mike.
Swords and Wizardry. Yeah, I have Swords and Wizardry on the Mythmere Games, and it released in 2008.
Awesome. Yes, Matt Finch. Got it.
And so what I'm trying to do is also the first time something published. Now, I do come out with some variations if it's an interesting path or additions, but otherwise I do the first time someone published it, it goes under their name. Unless they just did a print run of 50 or something, spiral bound, and then they were bought out. But I do the first serious release of something. And to my knowledge, the Frogs don't have a core system. They have a lot of books, a lot of source materials and campaign settings. Right. But can you imagine how ridiculous this would be if I did that type of thing?
I think I know one you don't have. Reaper Miniatures system now. They got their own, right? They got their
own. You know what? You're right. Yeah. I should definitely make sure that's captured.
Reaper's one. And that came out 2 years ago at the con, right? Oh my God, what's it? I got all the books for it from the.
Yeah, it's the more modern years that I'm struggling to patch because Monty Cook actually released something imminently.
Hackmaster's on here.
So I'll have to make sure Reaper gets added to this.
Yeah, the Reaper one. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, MPL illustration. I'm going to look into Dragonbane. It's on my other systems to look into list. So thank you. Yep.
Great. Does Gooey Cube have his own system? So Affinity's Goo.
Yeah, and I even had a good-natured person sort of say, Chainmail needs to be on it. Chainmail needs to be right at the heart of this. And I was like, yeah, but Chainmail was a miniatures wargaming system. It wasn't an RPG.
Yeah. That's
as
true.
As much as we may love it, at the end of the day, I need to be sort of strict on this.
You can make that a black hole, like somewhere. This is awesome.
Oh yeah!
Can't wait to tell Chuck he's got a cum quad. Chuck and Steven, they got a cum quad on here.
They will laugh. Yeah,
and it looks so beautiful too because it matches the color scheme that I've got going on here. So
it's awesome. This is fantastic. Okay, we're moving along. I think our last, unless we do some, WTF discussion. Anna,
we'll see.
What numbers I got to throw up here?
Let's see. We have. Let's go and look 21.
21.
Mm-hmm. This is the Altamira area, and this is another 64K, so it's 65,000 pixels. So it's 60 by 60 miles with.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so it's from Cowerwood and south down through where Altamira is, and it's not no forest, no bushes on it. It's just basic raw texture, no editing done or anything like that.
So
But so we can see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just. No, go up. Yeah, it's no,
Here.
no, 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 no. Wait a minute. There you go. Zoom in.
Right here.
Yeah, no, and no, and then a little bit southeast. There's a lake there.
Here.
A little bit more southeast. No, southeast, southeast, southeast. There you have the lake. Zoom in.
Oh, there. Here.
Yep. There you go. Yep.
Wow. See, this is so big. Holy
and
crap!
That circle where it is, you can barely see the circle. That is a mile across, or more than a mile across. Yeah. So this is just
what is the news on the Kickstarter, guys?
All right, so we're setting a permanent a set in stone date for the Kickstarter to come out, probably right around Labor Day. So, and that they have so much OGL stripping out to do now. Of all their other, they got to change out all their books. They got to get all the OGL, all the stuff that had the OGL content, and that's what they're all running around for now. But the great thing is we're having a meet and greet.
Labor Day.
What's that?
Labor Day. September.
Yeah.
I thought you were planning on having it released, or like having the Kickstarter done and dusted, and having all your materials done for GaryCon or something.
No, there's no way.
That's what you said last year.
Yeah, I know, but
that was a year ago.
Reality
because I heckled
in.
You.
You did.
I said no way, and you were like, "Yeah, that's what we're doing."
That's what we were going to do, and now reality set in.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, absolutely. So.
But Labor Day, September 3rd.
So around then, yeah. Steven's going to give us an exact date for it set, but we're going to have a meet and greet / sneak peek at GaryCon in the Chop House on that Friday. No, Saturday. No, Friday. Friday from 1 to 3. Where you're allowed to just come in, check out what we got going on, talk to the trolls, talk to Anna and myself for 2 hours. Maybe have some refreshments there. But that's what we're gonna have that on Friday at GaryCon. That was Steven's idea, so I don't think they'll bring their dead kumquat tree there, but
we'll see. That
my
bring
plan,
the stump.
Yeah. My plan is to have for the first 100 or whoever comes to have one of a sneak peek and have one of the adventure cards for that as a handout. So have an actual, just like the Free Stick Rock box set, we're gonna have a series of adventure cards to have one of those set in there too.
I think I have to try a Dr. Pepper at that one. I haven't
tried
Dr. Pepper in
Dr.
forever.
Pepper there?
I don't know, but
in
Steven is probably going. I'll see if I can have a diet Dr. Pepper or something. We'll see. Yeah.
Wow. This is fantastic.
Yes. So this whole area. This image is 65,536 pixels across its square. So this one is, when you zoom in, it's 5 feet per pixel. So let's go to number 22, and then we take a closer look at the lake that is just northwest of Altamira.
Pop up.
Yeah, so number 22. There you go.
Now, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we get a little bit closer. So this is like 25% resolution, so you can start seeing what the terrain actually looks like, so to speak. And Altamira is down at the right. There you go. Yeah, that area. It's a bit swampy because everything that is completely flat is swampy. So we need to paint over those. They have drained the swamp. Right. So there's issues like this. Yeah. So it's one of these issues with World Machine has these kind of issues in the programming, and I know that I'm fixing them afterwards. So, but there will be some. So it's kind of flat towards the northwest, and then there's a slope on the southeast. But go to picture 23, to the next one, and this is full resolution. So if you zoom in on this one, you get the full resolution 1:1. So each pixel is 5 feet on this one when you zoom in. Yeah. So here you can actually see the detail, and it's raw render again. It's no photoshopping, nothing. It's just a raw textured shaded image. So this needs 2 workovers or 3 because it will be one of these detailed areas, so to speak. So there will be buildings and roads and a lot of stuff like that on top of here, and trees and bushes and stuff once it's done. So this is just raw basic texture and shading, and it's still, I think, good enough. So it's a really good starting point.
That's
so
crazy. All right,
yeah.
So
and then we have 24. We can
24.
look at the start seeing what the Lort mills look like up in the Nort mills. And these are also full resolutions. You can see close by what the mountains will actually look like. So this is up in the Lort mill somewhere. And you can see on that little mini map on the top right, you can see a little red dot. That's how big of an area this is of the whole big map. So we have the full glory, so you can see individual pebbles, you can see the erosion, that you have various pebbles and sand and rock slides and stuff like that looks really natural. So I'm really, when I started rendering this, I'm really impressed how cool it is, because now we will have a large part of a fair bit of the Lort mills, so we can actually go up and look at adventures
or what they're called in right?
Yeah, what they're called in Aird. I don't know. You know that better than me. Yeah.
I'm still learning all that. So one sec here.
There you go.
Here we go. Yep. Right here is where it's going to be, right off of that. So yep. And the Twilight Wood will be Sus.
Mount
and then,
Morling or what was it?
The Bald. I think this is a Bald Mountain chain.
The Bald Mountain.
But then all the Selene stuff will flip. Like down here, we'll flip into, I'm talking about the Elven Estates and all. So yeah. So there you go.
And then we have 25 and 26 are a couple of other snapshots from full resolution snapshots from up in the mountains.
Make sure we go to this, and then we got it. 25, 26. Yeah.
So here you have some of these kind of rock slides and stuff.
That's
so
just insane when you look at that.
I've modeled Lort Mills a little bit on the Welsh and Scottish mountains, so a warmer version of the Welsh hills or something like that. So they are old, worn, eroded, and full of crags and outcroppings and stuff like that. So once I've had a couple of Photoshop runs through this and add forest and bushes and stuff to it, I think these will look fabulous once they already have a decent quality to them to go with. So I'm really pleased with how these turned out. And I'm also going to adjust the lighting. This is up in the Lort Mills too, but an area that is not that high up in the mountains, more like a valley area with a lot of crags and stuff like that. There's a river at the bottom, or a small tiny river or a creek with a little bit of wetlands and stuff at the bottom. There will be forest and stuff in parts of this too. But that I love how the light turns up, and it's not tweaked yet, so it will be tweaked a little bit extra. And then at the end we have a look at the lowlands. That will be part of the Sus forest.
Twilight Forest.
Will be on top of this eventually. So this is just the basic render raw textures again. That will be put the forest on top, and I will also tweak a lot of the textures. So there's a couple of other. So this is what there is, and we have thousands of square miles. We have probably about 1,500 square miles of this with all the details and stuff. So you can follow a creek for miles around eventually. We'll see how much of this that will end up on the Altimere. It depends on stretch goals and what we decide to put on the final print and in the book and stuff like that. So I rendered way more, so we have enough for various stretch goals and stuff.
We definitely need some of this in a fairly high resolution pic for that introduction. I mean,
we have the whole area, the whole 3,000 or more than 3,000 square miles at 5 feet per pixel.
64 by 64 feet, 64 by 64 miles.
It's 60 by 60 miles with 1,024 pixels per mile. So,
what's this rendered in is the question.
It's rendered using World Machine. Yeah. So I've rendered it in so I've created the terrain in World Machine and rendered it at 64K. So it's a tiled render with 8 by 8 It's each little tile is 8,000. It's 8K, so it's 8,000 pixels and a little bit more. And then it's 64 of those rendered in one go, and it's a double thing. So first I do the terrain, I render out the elevation, I import it back in to do the textures, because World Machine is, if you try to do the textures and the final on the where you actually build the terrain, it's not stable and you get a lot of errors. So I realized that first you build the basic terrain, and then you take it into to render the things. So you add lakes and rivers and textures, because if you render that in the first go, you get a lot of glitchy errors because it doesn't tile well. But so you can actually tile it twice over, and that improves the quality. It's a bit more tedious, but you can actually do, the results are much better.
So MPL, Anna has a machine that could send a ship to Mars. Okay.
Yeah, I have basically I built the latest Intel that maxed it out completely. So it's a $5,500 computer. Well, it's about $7,000 including graphics card, and so I decked it out. It's a 24 core CPU and 128 gigabytes of DDR5, and I have a couple of SSDs that I put them in a RAID. So I have double SSDs that are RAIDed, so I can basically load about 25 gigabytes per second, because you need tons of gigabyte in that you need to page the memory, so to speak. So because the memory doesn't count it. So eventually I want to have something with terabytes of RAM, but that's way too expensive at the moment. So that is what I have. So, and then I have a bunch of hard drives for storage. And when you render this one, it's about 1,500 files all in all. So this one, and then it's what I need when I do put it together in Photoshop. Once it's done, this area will probably be somewhere in the round of 100 gigabyte in the size with all the data that
yes,
is.
A happy Anna is a mappy Anna. Yep, that's
yes.
She named it.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So Alyssa, one minor comment with this project with Steven. I submitted my first writing to them, which is the Bounty Hunter class, and Steven said it's badass. So there you go. That was a good feeling. So we're on our way. We're finally on our way here. So
yeah. So I will my next thing, I will do the Photoshop workover or the basic texture. That would take me probably 3-4 weeks, about a month, and then I will take it back in, render it again. That will take a week or a couple of days to get that render done, and then it's Photoshop for another month. So I realized it's probably about 300-400 hours of Photoshop work, and probably another 20 or 30 hours of render time. And after that, we have the area, because I will not Photoshop everything. It will be the first, if there's more stretch goals, we have to go back in and Photoshop editing the other areas too, depending on interest, so to speak. So, and there might be a couple of them I'll save up for my own future campaigns, the area around Cowerwood and Southern Celine, and I added that in because that way I have that for a future Elven campaign, so it will all match and I can do it. So yeah.
So some unbelievable map stuff tonight, and we didn't even get to the WTF part. So let's see if we can do this clear and concise, if possible. What are your thoughts on how this may affect each one of you with all the BS going on?
Yeah, now I babbled, so please you start, Alyssa. Yeah.
Well, we've only got X amount of time in the show, so let's not babble too much. Also, this has been really heavily covered by a lot of extremely learned, well-educated lawyers. Alex Kammer has even chimed in on this a couple of times, and I am no Alex Kammer in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to summarize it. We all know what's going on. We all know what's happened. I think Hasbro have shown their colors. I don't know if this is true, but I read that basically Hasbro didn't realize just how much money their WotC and Magic the Gathering was making for them, and it was actually some financial analysts that revealed it to them. And the minute that was made evident to them, they want to crank it up, and they want to wring out everything they can out of Dungeons and Dragons. I think, honestly, I'm going to be somewhat pessimistic. I think for the majority of gamers out there, they won't care. The young gamers out there don't even know what the OGL is. They don't know a lot of what the other games are, and they're missing out because of it. And I think Hasbro got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. They lied their way out of it. Nothing they said was true. They then threw up a guy that had only been working there for 3 months to come out with another public statement after their first one bombed so hard. Yep. And I think that they have shown that they really have no sincerity around this. Of course, I think it was yesterday their new draft version released. And that one is full of holes and problems too. In a nutshell, it basically, I mean, there's several places in there, but with a real broad brushstroke from my perception, it basically has clauses in there that allows them to, we can revoke this anytime we want. We can change this anytime we want. And you can't sue us. There's so many areas where they say, and you can't sue us, and you can't sue us, and you can't sue us. So they're still in a position of saying, like, oh, by the way, they can still copy someone else's work. They can still publish it. You can't sue them. And if you do sue them, and if you win, they're still allowed to publish that work. So it's like there's still too much in there that is basically still steering the ship in that direction.
But
they
the ship
want, they want no competition. And this OGL revision that isn't needed, it really isn't, is their attempt to basically put everything on their terms and snuff out everyone else. They don't want the competition, and they certainly don't want it in the virtual desktop, the virtual tabletop sphere. They don't. They want to crush them mercilessly. They want theirs to be the only one on the market. That they were the only choice. And then you're going to see EA like microtransactions, like it's freaking fireworks coming out of your ass. I don't see a pretty future unless we keep pushing back on them in a fiscal manner.
Yeah. How will that affect you in what you do? Any direct effects or long-term effects, you think?
Well, so I think there will be effects. It would be very trite for me to say, well, you know, I kind of just do my own thing for my own patrons, and you know, I think I'll be okay. I'm not really doing too many commissions nowadays out of choice. But that's not strictly true. I'm very close friends with the Frogs. I'm good friends with Troll Lord. You know, even, you know, telling Ian, you know, I'm friends with all of these guys and the small publishers, some of which rely on the OGL. Now, I may or may not actually do work for them, but to see them like go down, or to have to change things, or to have to throw away printed stuff because WotC says, no, you can't do that. We're revoking your license. Like, that's bullshit. Yes, I would lose some work. I would lose the type of work, though, that I care passionately about, those favorite projects I do for friends. But I also, it would affect me personally and as a professional, just to see people I've been working with a long time suffer, you know, to have to hang it up. Or even, honestly, we're all talking about this black flag thing, and I truly hope that it gets legs. I really genuinely do. A lot of the people involved with it are friends of mine. But unless that can gain legs and gain traction, then I fear that my friends and people I work with are just going to have nothing but stress and hardship, and that would make me upset. So, that would make me miserable.
Alyssa, I think Controller Games is in a very positive position. They're very excited about the future because they have very little to strip out of OGL content out of their publications. They're like, hey, we're all moving on. Paizo's moving on. Monty Cook's moving on. Wolfgang, they're all Wolfgang was like the leader of the group, right? And they're all
Wolfgang's a big powerhouse.
Yeah, they're all moving on. I think it's gonna be for the better. So
well, and you know, one of the bullshit things, and then Anna, I know that you're very opinionated on this, but you know, the bullshit about this is the whole OGL spawned out of the fact that you can't copyright game rules. Right. You just can't do that. So now characters, places, you know, creative sort of maps and art. Yes, of course, they're copyrightable, but the actual core rules you can't. So the OGL was born from, well, let's draw the line in the sand about what we can use and can't use. So we're all on the same page. So we're not suing each other back and forth. It's a framework, some rules, so everyone understands the playing field. If you can't copyright rules, tell me where that line falls. It makes sense. It's inevitable. So honestly, what's he coming out with their big boy lawyers and everything? basically sort of saying, well, we want to copyright our rules now. You can't, MFA. You can't. And they're relying on the fact that people won't or can't sue them. And I honestly, that just makes me want to start punching people in the face.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but
Some
there's
people can get, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. So I'm going to say, from my perspective, things are a bit different because, and this is something that I've gotten forgotten in this debate, because we've heard about the OGL now up to, so it's up here, so to speak. Even Washington Post, New York Times, and it's reached mainstream. Almost everybody knows what the OGL is. But there's another side of this, and that's where creators like me and my Greyhawk maps come in, and a bunch of others. I had a talk with Joe Block yesterday, because he's also using another side of this that as part of it, but it's not the OGL, and that's the fan creation policy. Because most of all my Greyhawk maps and stuff are published not under OGL, but they are through the fan creation policy, and that's another one that is baked in there a little bit, maybe, or depending on what the mood is in Wizard of the Coast. Of course, Wizard of the Coast wants to regulate that one down the line, but right now, my Greyhawk map is not in direct danger immediately, because the Wizard of the Coast have bigger fish to fry. So that means that I can probably go on for some time. But after that, the original OGL 1.1, that was the one that were trying to sneak out under the radar and get people and just implement, and all of a sudden it would have been effect, and then it leaked, and the whole thing the whole thing came out to light, and all the worms crawled everywhere, so to speak. That OGL 1.1, that's when I would have been covered, not under the fan creation policy, but OGL and a bunch of stuff. That meant that I have had to, if that had been reality, I would have to shut it down almost immediately and go to plan B or plan C. But now there will be at least some time, like a year or two or something like that, before that I can go on as business as usual. Then we don't know, because once Wizard of the Coast and this big debacle and woo-ha will settle down eventually, whether Wizard of the Coast will just leave it as it be. If we are successful, they will probably leave it as it be and come back again in a few years, and the thing will come back over, or there will be a new regime, and we don't know what happens, so to speak. So short term, I can probably work just fine on my Greyhawk maps. Long term, we don't know. All bets are off, so to speak. They might come after me with cease and desist like crazy, and I have to shut that down or demonetize it completely, or something. So that's the Greyhawk map, and a lot of other Greyhawk creators might be in trouble, so to speak. For me personally, I'm not that worried, because I can get a day job mapping for Troll Lord, Cobalt Press, others, so to speak, and they already lining up and having want me to do it, so to speak. So we have no hard talks yet, so to speak, but it depends. So I'm not terribly worried about my own financials, but I'm way more worried about how this will impact the Greyhawk community. We saw William Henry Dvorak shut down his website now because he's having 5e Greyhawk content, and he had enough with all this hoobaba going on. He didn't want to. So, and he's not the only one. I bet that there will be several Greyhawk creators. So I'm more worried about the Greyhawk community than my own finances.
Will's got a lot more real life issues going on beyond, and that was another reason. So I mean, there's multiple reasons usually.
Exactly. So some way, shape, or form. Meaning, I have a plan B and a plan C for my Greyhawk maps too. They might have to come up in another format, another way, or I have to file off some serial numbers and just do terrain for a while, because this will blow over eventually. Greyhawk has been around for 50 years, and I don't think this is the end of the Greyhawk community, but it might be some tough years ahead, so to speak. Yeah.
I have a smile on my face, Alyssa, and that's because Altamira, we can expand on that. Steven's giving us carte blanche to do whatever we want, right? Beyond this, if it's super successful. If they come after me because I have the stupid on my streams 1E/2E, as Anna says, I'm just going to change it to 1.J. It's my own rules. It's all my own custom rules now at this point anyway. I don't even care. You know,
Yeah, and I have
so
other
not worried.
plan B and plan C to
Yeah.
go on and so on. My worst case scenario, I have to revamp my Patreon and do tutorials and stuff like that,
That'd be
and then I have to turn my Greyhawk maps just as a project for my own gamers in my game group, and I can game a lot if need be. Or something like that. So there's ways around a lot of things, but I need to play ball with and follow the rules and stuff because I don't want to have cease and desist come over me and stuff. So I have to do it, but there are ways around it, so to speak.
I
But
don't think they're going to. If they go after the fan content policy, it would be 10 times as worse as what they're doing now. Because
well, I don't. Yeah, there's more
Yeah.
of us using the fan creation policy, but we don't have the power of the other ones. So, and they will probably, because that's what they wanted originally. So I'm pretty sure they will come back to it. But right now they've forgotten about that bit. That's not interesting for them. But eventually there might be trouble. But right now I think we're fine. So for some a year or two, I think we're good. So we don't need to worry about it. So I try to do as much as possible and get as much done as possible, and then we go from there. So I'm so thankful for all the support and everybody wishing me well and stuff. So yeah, so
we're all going to be fine.
Yeah, eventually, I think the community and the role playing game community and hobby will come out stronger from this. I'm pretty sure. I already there's so many good signs already, and the Greyhawk community will survive this too. But there might be some tough some tough ahead. So I can tell everybody in the Greyhawk community now the setting needs you more than ever, and Wizard of the Coast needs you less than ever. So don't give them a penny, but remember your Greyhawk games and stuff like that, and then play it using whatever system you want, as long as it's not something you have to buy from Wizards. That is my advice. That's how I will do it. I'm looking into what system I will play and use for my content going forward, because I want to put out my own monsters and some spells and some other tweaks, my own house rules, and I'm looking into which rule system I will use for that one. And there's there's like 4 or 5 of them on my short list, like Pathfinder 2, Castle and Crusades, Level Up that I'm using currently might be the system I go, and then Black Flag or the core fantasy system by Kobold Press is another hot candidate, and so on. And there's a couple of other ones too. So I'm looking into, because I will pick one of these systems that is non-Wizard of the Coast to write my rules and run my campaigns in, and then house rule it a bit and use that. So we'll see. Yep. So that's basically where we stand. So I'm not devastated or anything like that. So don't worry. And right now, I don't need to change anything at the moment and can go on. But we need to have I have a plan B and a plan C. I have like 3 different plans for the future, just in case, because there might be in a year or 2 years or something like that, Wizard of the Coast might get their act together and they might start being the big evil again and crack. I might be their target list, so to speak, and be on the target list, but we don't know. This is mid conflict yet. We won the first battle and now comes the second and the third, and they'll probably be
won. That's what they said. We all
won. Yeah, but that's what they say when they lose. Yep. So thank you everybody who
yes.
are shaping up and helping the community and all the role players out there. So it's fantastic. So I love you guys. So yeah.
15 minutes of that is enough of that talk, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So don't despair, but be vigilant, so to speak.
Be positive and note that we're going to kick butt this year, the entire community.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll do some quickie shout outs here. So listen, what else you got going on you want to shout out?
Well, I gave all my stuff that I'm working on. So, I mean, I'm doing the Garricon map. I've got the Cosmology map. That's going to keep me busy for a while. I've got the next Greyhawk City map to do. I'm now booked out for next few months. So
awesome.
Yep.
So I'm shouting out some Discords here. You want to get in on the Campfire and the Virtual GrowCon Discord, especially for the fundraiser coming up. So Great to hear. So, Anna,
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to shout out tonight?
Well, next week on Friday, there will hopefully be a mapping live stream if everything works
Cool.
with the interweb gods and stuff, sit and work, and there might be some of this heraldry and some Photoshop. I'm going to write up more technical side to my top patrons on how this goes about and show more examples and in depth how this actually works. And once in like a month or two, I will start as soon as I got this working in more like a regular beat, so to speak. I will start doing tutorial videos and stuff again, and tutorials on how to do this in World Machine and Gaia and stuff. So and then I have a lot of Photoshop work to do, which is a lot of fun. So this will be awesome fun, and there will be some new settlements and some more lore for Southern Shieldland for my campaign that will go along with this in the upcoming months. Yeah.
Alyssa, can you say the name of the town again that you're going to be doing in the jungle?
You know what? Let me type it.
Guys, you're
Yeah,
going to
that's
type it in.
You guys
probably
can tell me.
It's occupied by the 1T now.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. It's getting typed in.
That
There you go.
Zapatlapo.
Yep. It's in the middle of Hipmona Land.
Yep.
Almost smack in the middle of Hipmona Land. Yep.
That's going to be interesting.
This will be, because the architecture of this is just going to be unlike anything I've done in recent
I'm looking
years.
forward to this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's the opposite of Krakenheim up in the north. This is in the hot steaming jungles. So yeah.
Very cool. All right, so let me not hit the wrong button. Here's what's going on. Stream 4 of the week. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. EST, a Battletech for Beginners game with Praetor's Rejects. So Jimmy may start streaming some Battletech on his channel using VTTs, and so I'm going to take some of his crew, and we're going to I'm going to like stop and say, here's, this is why this is happening here. It's going to be a lot slower game. There's going to be a 4-on-4 fight, a little bit of a grudge match I've set up, but it's all a light mech. So, but it'll be a Battletech for Beginners game.
What type of mechs you going to be running, Jay?
So Jimmy's character, Jim Praetorian, will be in his once again he'll be in the Panther.
Okay.
I got the characters right here.
Are you going to have anyone in a flea?
No, no, because fleas are ultra rare because they're Wolf Dragoon mechs, right? So a flea's an ultra rare mech. So
what about the likes of a Locatus?
Damn, you know your stuff around
or a
this,
Cicada or
Alyssa.
anything.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
So
Alyssa, you know your stuff when it comes to Battletech. I'm impressed
I
here.
like BattleTech. I really
Damn.
do.
So
when I was younger, like in my 20s,
Mhm.
I was really into it. Like you could
Cool.
show me just a part of a picture
Mhm.
of a battle
Yeah.
mech.
Oh,
Like
wow.
just his heel, and I knew
Mhm.
exactly the
So-
mech.
Oh, wow.
I used to be nuts about it.
this is Solaris 7. This is going to be a Solaris 7 grudge match. So they have
Okay.
a Panther, Valkyrie, Commando, Locust. A 35, a 30, a 25, and a 20. I'm not going to tell you what the baddies are. Their pictures. Oh, I haven't even put those ads out. I got to do that after this. Oh my gosh, it never ends. It's been it's been a long week. Hey, Oregon. So that's tomorrow night. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We're giving out. Bill, the Master Crafter, has done a 3D print of a Warhammer to scale, proper size, and an Archer, based up and everything. We're giving them away as a giveaway.
Nice.
Yes, they're really nice. They're really nice. They're downstairs. That is tomorrow, Sunday night. I can't even wait for Sunday night too. I told this story. The Great Net Spellbook in the late 90s, early 2000s came out and changed the way we did spells for classes. And throughout it was this wizard named Alpha, and we got to be using a couple dozen of his spells. It turns out it is Jason. Alpha is Jason Nelson from Legendary Games. So he's on the show Sunday night.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yes, we're going to revere it. We're going to revere Alpha. We're going to go over Alpha spells. I may go over some of the more. We're going to talk about the Great Net spell books out there. Also going to do the Net Librum of Wild Magic too, which I utilize as well. Those are the two we'll talk about. Maybe some others. There's a book on swords. There's all sorts of stuff. Net books that came out in that era that are usable for your for your campaign. So that is Sunday. Now next week, Living Gruff Jeff Meta Orgs is Wednesday night. Okay, have a normal game Thursday. And then Saturday, our next special event game is a Saturday night special, the return of the Slav Squad with special guest Heather Hex and Ancient Evils. They will be, this will be Southern Celine. This is going to take place. In fact, near Tree Guard, which was there before. So we're going to have a little interesting. Heather's never played old school, and she chose an Elven Cavalier class. The Dungeon Magazine one that's a variant of the Cavalier, where it's an Elven style fighting Cavalier. That's a really cool class. So I don't think we've ever seen one. Oh, Anna, you have an Elven Cavalier. You have a high level one. You've used her a couple times. Yeah, used her in the fundraiser.
Yes, yeah.
You have an Elven Cavalier too. Yeah.
Yep.
So that'll be on Saturday, and then finally Legends, the fundraiser's coming up in a month away. So we'll talk about that more as we come. We'll have a prelude show and everything else going on with that. Deep breaths. How's that? All right. 2 giveaways. Let's do it. Last call. Exclamation point drawing. I have the codes. You will get the codes tonight from Frog God. I apologize on the 7 Troll Lord game codes. I'm going to beat Chuck with a bamboo pole or something. Bamboo rod. I haven't gotten them yet. So, all right. I'm going to close this out. And we're going to raid into the Mandy tonight because she's one of the Slav Squad. We'll raid into her tonight.
Cool.
Okay. Let me close this out. Alyssa, Anna, thank you for another great show.
Oh, thank you. And thank you everyone who tuned in and were cheering on us in chat. That's awesome. So thank you guys.
Next show will be us talking maybe with a guest. The show after that will be from Gary Con. So
yeah. So we have to see what we can come up with.
For 91 Phantom, grats.
Yep.
$25 gift certificate to Troll or to Frog God. Duh. And our Thorn, the cleric, all the way to Australia.
Oh,
grats, both of you. I know you both. I have your contacts. I'll get you those codes tonight. So let's raid into Mandy. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Anna, for a wonderful, wonderful show. Another fun time.
Yep,
thank you, Michael, for cutting them right away for me. Really appreciate it. See you all. Have a good one. See you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 9 a.m. for some fun. BattleTech fun. Very basic, too. So if you want to learn the game, this would be a good one to help learn the game system. Wrong button? Maybe. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. We're keeping it rolling here.
Yep.
Irrespective of what others do in the greater world out there.
Yep.
Let's see if we can get a nice healthy rate over 65 here. There you go. Nice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. See you tomorrow morning. 69. Nice.
Nice.
We had Steven Chenault on Sunday night, Alyssa, and we did a rate of like 130.
Woo!
It was